I'm here with Radrey. Radrey, welcome back. You are a this how many times have you been on? Is this third
I
time
think this
maybe?
is my third time. Yeah, third time.
Awesome. Yeah. Part Radrey the third, part three. Yeah. So
Pleasure to be here.
yeah, thanks for being back on. How's your
Yeah,
2021 going so far?
pretty good. No complaints.
Yeah.
I'm not having too hard of a time. Pretty good. I wouldn't complain too much. I don't know.
Not complaining too much, huh? Yeah.
No,
So,
I mean, 2020, did us in a lot of us.
mm,
We had to like a lot rearrange our lives, but 2020 wasn't a bad year for me, so I can't imagine this year would be bad. So
right,
far, it's
right.
off to a good start.
Yeah, I mean, relatively speaking, I mean, 2020 wasn't that bad for me either. I think a lot of us in Japan could probably say that, but uh, you know, we don't really live in a place where it's really affecting us extremely uh, too harshly.
Yeah, well, I'm already an introvert, so I mean, I do a
Yeah.
podcast, so
Right, right.
so I don't have to worry too much about I'm not extroverted like some people are. Like I have to go somewhere, I have to go on vacation this place. I have to play sports. I'm not
Mm,
like that.
mm. Yeah, but how did it affect your podcast? Because we were talking a little bit before we started that you were starting to set up your studio and actually having guests in studio, which was really cool. That you had that set up, and then this fucking
The
thing
Rona
happened. So
hit.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's a little bittersweet, I guess. I mean,
Mm,
it's good because I mean it looks nice, makes me look smarter than I really am.
mm,
Having the books behind me. Your background really does add a lot to your personality, to your character, because people when they're watching podcasts,
yeah.
they want to see something visual. You
Right.
can't really see the title of these books, but I figured this would be the closest thing. I mean, what's his name helped me set this whole thing up? Tokyo Sam.
Oh really? Yeah.
Yeah. If you go into my YouTube channel and you find the Tokyo Sam interview, that's the first time that I set this entire thing up
Oh
with
yeah,
him.
yeah. I like how you have the books juxtaposed with the mini like Jason and Homer Simpson dolls, and is that
Oh
Mao
yeah.
Zedong and like
It is Mao
Cthulhu,
Zedong. Yeah.
a bobblehead. Wow.
It's a
It,
bobblehead of Mao
oh,
Zedong.
if he only
Yeah.
knew that he would that capitalism would reign and create
Yeah, right.
a bobble version of him. So right next to the golden pig, no less. So
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty good. Golden Pig. You got that in Osaka. It's
oh,
pretty
he
good.
he he oinks.
Yeah, he oinks. Anyway,
Very
I like to call this my Wunderkammer, if you know what that means.
wonder something. Yeah, I'm not.
One
I'm
of
not. I don't speak German, so.
yeah, no, I in this book called what's it called? Show Your Work by
Mm,
Austin Kleon. It's kind of self-helpy, not so much, but it's
mm.
like this. And I'm sure you're familiar with Steal Like an Artist,
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
book. He wrote a sequel to that one, and he recommend. Sorry, I got something stuck in my throat. Uh, he recommended that everyone should have their own Wunderkammer, a place where you can go and you can just look at stuff, like a collection of things.
Oh,
Like here's like a pretty cool book. I
mm.
mean, this one's kind of creepy actually.
Oh, I like the
Morbid
cover.
Curiosities.
Very cool. I'm glad that's the book you chose to pull out. Are the pages black?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
wow.
The pages are black and they have like weird stuff like this in here, and um, people who collect weird ass stuff.
That's that's awesome
And
actually.
some of the stuff's kind of disturbing. But yeah, I
More
mean,
that
and
that's the
I haven't got.
Yeah, I
What
was
are you
gonna
gonna
say
say? Sorry.
that yeah, that's the kind of book I'd have on my coffee table if I had one.
Yeah,
So.
I think it's actually like some people here, like you can see here, they actually have a human skeleton, which I think is illegal nowadays.
Is it? I
I think
mean,
it's
yeah, I
illegal.
think
You
if you
can't.
donate your body to science, you can, or the person someone can buy your skeleton, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about that. I thought it was illegal. I thought because the reason why when they have skeletons in like classrooms nowadays, they're not the real ones
Mm.
anymore. They're
No,
fake ones.
they're the fake skeleton. That you know, my school never had the skeletons on display. We just had like poster.
Oh, really?
Maybe
I don't think mine did either.
maybe we just didn't have the budget. Half the budget of my school went to the football team. So
Yeah, that's like most schools.
literally half of the entire budget went to just the athletics department for the football team. So that's how seriously we took high school football at my school. You know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Noted.
Mm-hmm.
Should I introduce myself a little, or I guess that's probably enough of an introduction. What do you
Oh,
think?
well, I mean, yeah, go ahead. People,
I don't know. I'm not sure what kind of listeners you have, or what kind of, because sometimes what they say, like everybody's podcast or every podcast you make is someone's first podcast.
very true. Very true.
I guess a little short introduction.
Yeah,
My
go
name is
ahead and
Radrey.
introduce yourself.
Yeah, I guess I'll say my name is Radrey. I do a podcast named called Why Come Japan, where I interview creatives from Japan and around Japan, and I talk about their creativity and how it relates to the country of Japan.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Japan 500 more times, before the end of this podcast, because I need that SEO money. No, in all seriousness, no, I do a podcast with them. I'm not with creatives. I've been doing it for 3 years. No, 4 years. I'd only really started taking seriously in 2018. Like, what do they say? Like the first 5 podcasts are always the hardest ones to make for some reason. But yeah, they've been going pretty strong. I mean, I'm a one-man show, probably a lot like Shea. I'm not like, I don't have anybody doing SEO or thumbnails. It's all me. It's all me for right now. Until like sponsorships come a calling, but I don't think they are. Not for now.
I was gonna actually want to talk to you about that. I actually might be getting some sponsorships pretty soon.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there's, but you get to choose what, like basically you can bid on sponsorships and you can cut a deal with these people on what kind of ads you want to do and what you want to sponsor. So you can kind of curate it to fit your podcast. So it's not like, oh, I have to advertise this product that I don't really care about, just to have a sponsor. No, you can actually find someone that is willing to, that not only that you think is cool, but will help sponsor you on, and you can actually, set your prices and all that. So it's a really cool service to at least start out, So I'll slip that by you later on.
So wait, it's like the sponsor thing. Is it like a website? Is it like a service of some kind?
Yeah, it's basically it's just a site that connects podcasters with either other podcasters or services who advertise on podcasts. So, but it doesn't. They don't take any cut. It's just it just connects you with other sponsors or other podcasts, pretty much. So.
Like, hi, I use this Blue Yeti microphone. It works really well for me. It'll work well for you.
You could do that.
No.
I mean, yeah.
Something like that, or you have to like read some copy or something.
Well, it depends. You can choose like pre-roll ads or mid-roll ads or end.
Okay.
Yeah. So, to be honest,
that's why I use Robinhood.
I regret making the choice of having them as a sponsor now. So, yeah. Will they even pay me? So, yeah.
Are they still around? Are they gone now?
Oh God, I don't foresee them doing very well anymore because of the shit they pulled on
Wall Street.
WallStreetBets. Yeah. So
yeah.
I was gonna ask you, you buy any nice GameStop stonks these days, Radrey?
No. GameStop was always that place you would go to because you wanted a physical copy of a game. But now, like, there's like Steam and the digital stores. I don't even go there anymore. Yeah. But now living in Japan, it's like I don't even want to own a console anymore because it's just I'd have such limited amount of space.
Right.
It's like PC race all the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
having digital copies is the way to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's just for a matter of like you said, now look at the consoles. You'd think after years. They could reduce the size, but they just keep getting bigger. But most games are digital anyway. So why do you need such a gigantic piece of machinery?
Like, what is it? Like the PS5 is like the size of my torso almost.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah. going vertical. Well, you know, guess it's better than, you know, the original Xbox was just like this giant hunk of square, like black square, you know, that
Is it the most recent one?
no, the original Xbox.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
I remember that thing.
Hmm. No, I mean, right now I have a PS4, an original PS4, and a Xbox One X that I got just a few years ago, and you know they're both about the same size, but they don't really take up too much of a space. So, but now seeing the new ones, you know, especially like they have the digital only versions, that might be the way to go, to be honest.
Yeah, so I haven't been to GameStop in like ages because GameStop was always that place where, or basically the reputation of GameStop is you go there to like get rid of all your games that you've collected too many, right?
Yeah.
And then you go there and they're like, all right, we can give you $5 worth of credit, you know,
Right.
over having like 60 games.
Yeah.
Like
There.
what?
Yeah. It reminds me. I saw this a meme related to that. It's they said this is the most money someone's ever made off of a GameStop trade. Is this recent?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
pretty good. Yeah, that's funny.
So, but no, I find it just kind of crazy that they chose GameStop of all the companies, and now they're throwing like AMC and Nokia in there. Like,
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
so,
Yeah, no, that's crazy, right?
mm,
2021, what a year to live in.
right?
It's like I
Yeah.
got, the greatest thing about say what you will about Donald Trump and his presidency, but I learned a lot more about the American presidency through him. You
Mhm.
know, how the entire office works now. And now I thought, well, I'm not going to get that anymore, because probably boring Biden will just, make everything boring again. Um,
I,
but
I
now
I
we have the whole
wish I
stock
wish that
market
were the
thing.
case. I wish
You
that were
think
the case.
so? All right.
I mean, the you know the troops that they had at the inauguration to protect, you know, to keep,
Right, right.
protected and everything. They haven't left. They're still there. They're still
Oh,
barbed
really?
wire fences. Yeah,
No, that
like
I didn't know that.
yeah, they
Okay.
have not left Washington D.C. So they're still patrolling streets. There's still like barbed wire fences up everywhere. So they're not going away. You know. So
Right, right.
mm,
Okay.
it's
I didn't know that.
yeah, like that's the thing. You see how quickly the media just shifts its tone. You know, it's like, oh, it's a bright, hopeful future, when no, you still got barbed wire fences and troops patrolling the streets. It hasn't changed at all, you know. So, um, God bless America, you know.
I think it'll probably dissipate soon, or maybe not. I don't know. There are a lot of angry Trump supporters out there.
So I was going to say you got a lot of domestic terrorists running around
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah. That's become a thing now.
Yeah. So yeah, that's we live in interesting times. I've been saying that every year for the past, I don't know, 10 years or more, but
They just keep on getting interestinger.
yeah, interesting. Yeah. So I had this theory that maybe the world did end in 2012, according to the Mayans,
Okay.
and we're just
Yeah.
and everything is just, I don't know how much you buy into this, the simulation theory, but
Like
yeah,
Elon Musk and all that.
oh yeah,
Didn't he?
it was,
Didn't he say we all lived in a simulation? That
well,
was him,
it
right?
was originally proposed by Ray Kurzweil. So that's where the
Who's
whole
that
idea.
again?
Uh, he's a dude who talked about the simulation. So he's no, like the theory's been around for a while actually. And I think it was Ray Kurzweil. It was the simulation. Maybe he was the singularity. Sorry, that's what it was. I got him confused. The singularity is where AI and humans kind of join in together. But um, that's simulation theory. It may be the same guy. I could be wrong.
Ray Kurzweil.
Yeah, Ray
Kurzweil.
Kurzweil. Yeah.
American inventor and futurist.
Hmm.
Involved in optical character recognition, text-to-speech synthesis, and speech recognition technology. So
Right.
wait, he had the whole theory that we all live in a simulation.
No, he was the singularity. I got
Oh,
those.
singularity. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I got those
Oh,
mixed
that's
up.
right. You just said that.
Yeah. So, um,
I was too busy focusing on. I got to find out who this is. I wasn't
okay.
listening to what
So,
you're saying.
sorry. So, simulation hypothesis was in its current form was by Nick Bostrom. He's
Oh, okay.
a Swedish philosopher. So,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think that started off as like a philosophical
A
argument. There you go.
falafel argument, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like all this is fake, yo. It's like one day, after just being drunk, and he just came up with these ideas.
I think it's more than drunk. I think maybe he found some nice red and white colored mushrooms out in the forest and
Probably that too.
had
Yeah.
himself an adventure. So
Hey, if you can make money off of coming up with ideas like that, more power to you.
it is interesting though. I mean, that this idea that it's like this. It's like it cycles back to creation theory again. Like I don't know if
That's
um,
interesting.
if you ever
Okay.
heard about that in circles that I was around growing up in rural America is man and dinosaur walked together and God created man to walk along the dinosaurs and all this other stuff and the earth was encapsulated in a giant water bubble. Like this is all shit that creationists believe in. So um,
Right. Like the
yeah,
world was created 5,000 years ago or something.
yeah. So there's this was it Dinosaur Creation Museum that's run by this guy called Kent Hovind. It's it's very interesting. It's very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
that explains dragons at least.
that's
Where
actually
all
one
that
of
comes from.
that's actually what they say. That's where the mythical dragon theories came from. Where when yeah, like they have it all covered, man. It's actually kind of fascinating. Like it's complete bullshit. But if you look,
But that stuff's fun though sometimes, like the
that's what I
flat
mean.
earth.
That's what I mean. Like all these batshit theories that are around, it's hilarious to it's entertaining to just
Right.
learn about them, So
Like, do you remember when or maybe because we were in Japan, so
mm.
maybe you didn't see it, but I remember a friend of mine was telling me about like the History Channel when they did a 2012 like documentary series about the end of the world. Did you ever see those?
No, but if it's History Channel, man, it's of course it's gonna have some crazy stuff.
It
Aliens
was
are
pretty.
involved,
Well,
and
that's Ancient Aliens. That's when they really went off the deep end. But
yeah, and Hitler's occult obsession and all
yeah,
that.
that's right. The Hitler's occult stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, but no, the 2012 stuff is just hilarious because what's really funny about it is they spend the entire episode like going someplace or planning to go somewhere,
yeah.
and then they think they find something. They're like, oh no, it's just a stick. Oh, okay. Well, maybe we'll get lucky next time.
Oh God, yeah.
What the really
Be
funny thing
sure to
about it
tune in
is,
next week when our plucky adventurers stumble upon
yeah,
a cave.
you won't believe what we found next week.
Yeah, clickbait type stuff. So that that actually kind of reminds me. I think it was yeah. Joe Rogan had a sci-fi show that only lasted one season, and
I
he
didn't
would
know that.
yeah he would go and try and investigate these conspiracy theories or like one episode was about Bigfoot and
Okay.
he went to all these Bigfoot experts and like he this the most credible guy that they found he ends up talking to him. He's like, man, this guy's off the deep end, like they explore like aliens and Bigfoot and all this stuff and
Yeah.
it's just full of weird people, so but that's
Yeah,
what's entertaining about it.
that's true. Very
Yeah,
true. I mean, just to talk a little bit about the 2012 thing before we move on,
yeah.
but what's also kind of funny about that, I just want to mention that. So, like, every time I started watching it, I'm like, because they'd never interview the natives. Like, they'd go to, like, where is it? Chichen Itza? Is that how you pronounce it? The place
Chichen
where they have the
Itza.
Mayan ruin?
No.
Chichen Itza, thank you.
Mm.
Um, and like they'd never interview them. They'd only interview the white people. Like everybody in the show is white. I mean, I don't want to sound like an SJW here, but that's what I'm noticing a trend. I don't know. Next time you watch History Channel these documentaries, just just note the kind of nationality of the people they interview.
Oh yeah, I know. It's funny because it's you're right. It's like the only experts that they interview are just these people that well, I have a degree in in Mayan history science and but what does he know? He's just read a book, Like has he ever
Yeah.
been down there? Like the people who live there, right? listen to their stories, and it's always fascinating what they tell you about. You can learn a lot more about a culture. Well, it seems obvious. Actually, asking the people who grew up in it, right?
Yeah,
Here's a
yeah,
thought, right?
that would help.
So, mm,
It's a good idea. So if you learn anything from Lone Star into the Rising Sun podcast, it's ask the native questions. Excuse me, ask the natives questions.
yes, yes.
It may change your
Oh,
opinion.
oh. So is that what is that guy that goes around and interviews Japanese people? What do you think of foreigners or dating foreigners? What's the guy?
Which one? White
He like
guy
no,
or
no.
Japanese?
I think he's Japanese, but he
Well,
always
there's two.
there's
There's
oh, it's not Nobita, is it? Does he still do that?
there's Nobita. Yeah, he
Hmm.
still does it. He mostly just interviews porn stars now. I think
Yeah.
from
Well,
what I hear. I don't know. I don't really watch him.
didn't he go down like kind of a racist, like
Yeah, yeah, that was the thing.
nationalistic streak for a while too?
Like dear black people or something. That was a little
God,
weird.
yeah.
Like, remember when I was watching this, the entire thing, I'm just cringing. I'm like, why did you put this on the internet? It's like you could talk about this like through friends, like, the thing about racism is like it's a spectrum.
Mm.
There's so many different types of racism, and you don't ever know if you're being quote unquote racist. So it's if you're labeling somebody a racist, it's kind of hard to say if someone's racist or not, right?
Right.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong in any of this, but
What do
like when
I
I was
know? I'm a
watching,
white guy, so I can't really comment on race. So
I think it's fair. I mean, I don't know. Like, I believe it's a spectrum. No, I'm not comparing this to like spectrums of like gender.
are you saying we're on the
I hope
spectrum?
I'm not triggering. Yeah, I'm on the spectrum. Yes. Identify as trans male,
Mm,
please. No. In all seriousness,
mm.
yeah, no, Nobita did that, and that Japanese guy Yuta did it.
That's it. That Japanese guy
Those are
you
the
took.
only
Mm,
those are the only two that like made it a thing.
mm,
Because I know
mm.
like Tokyo Bree, who I interviewed on my show,
Yeah.
did it for a little while, but I guess stopped because it's probably a lot of work.
Well,
I can't imagine doing man on the street interviews
I was gonna
for
say, man on
person
the
that.
street interviews. Like I like it when they actually, like that's what that was it that Japanese guy Yuta or whatever. Like those are more real, obviously, but the very first man on the street interviews I ever saw were like by Jay Leno and those late night talk show hosts, and it's always like I always felt they were very manipulative. Like, yeah, they only chose the stupid people to show. They never like they probably actually asked the questions to people about geography or something, and there were some smart people that, or just average people that actually knew where countries were on a map, but they're like, nah, that's not entertaining. Choose choose the stupid people only, and we can make fun of them. So
Movie magic.
yeah, yeah, selective editing. So it's been around for a while, but but no, like the point of that was like they're actually asking people on the street is kind of close to what you were saying, asking the natives about their opinions on certain things, but
Oh yeah,
it
yeah. I get
it's
what you're saying.
yeah, it still has a selective bias to it though, you know.
Yeah, very much so.
Mm-hmm. If you were to do something like that, maybe not even in Japan, but in let's say America, what would you what would you
Like
do?
on Bigfoot or something.
If that's what you chose, like if you say
Uh,
ask a native, you
it
might get
have to
into
be
different
something I'm
territory,
really inspired by. I mean,
right?
because making stuff about Japan is pretty
Mm,
easy because because obviously people come to Japan because they love the culture or they love the anime or love
mm,
whatever about it. So it's a pretty easy selling point. And I mean, a lot of us here as foreigners, there are pieces of Japan that we really liked, and so it's easy to talk about and easy to get, I don't know, ears on your podcast or
right.
eyeballs on some of your videos. I mean, now it's becoming really oversaturated, and now you have to have like top tier quality, videos like Chris Broad level if you want to like get any notoriety.
Mm. I think that's just the nature of what YouTube has become. When
Yeah,
when when
no,
it first started, it was just reaction videos. Like people make a video and then someone responds to it. I hate to be sentimental, but those were like the good old days. Like that's how when YouTube started, it was just connecting with other people who were making videos in different parts of the world. It was fun, and plus you still had like how to tie a necktie, like tutorial videos back then too. But which is incidentally how I learned how to tie a necktie for my first big interview. Was I searched on YouTube, but um,
Huh.
yeah, like infancy YouTube. But anyway, now it became so commercial that the only you know uh, people channels with just millions of subscribers are the ones that have any influence, and like it's but at the same time it depends on what your goals are. You could still make content that is just like you could make back then. No one's stopping you from doing that, so um
Yeah, I
i
can
think i
agree with
think
that.
people are, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think people today, it's because before, like early 2009 when I started,
Hmm.
you could just simply say that you're in Japan and you could just take a camera and you could walk to a convenience store and buy, I don't know, a Kit Kat bar and eat it.
Hmm.
And like, boom, easy 1,000 views.
Right.
Like, what the fuck is this? You're like, huh? Like, wow, I'm a celebrity. I'm famous, And like, because I think early then, I mean, there wasn't anything like it. It was very novel at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And now, there's so many of us. There's so many creators, quote unquote.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's why, like, I'm not. I never want to come across as a hater, but like I think that whole it's just oversaturated. Like, look, I'm in Japan. Look at this wacky like onigiri that I can eat from the convenience store. Like, okay, that
Well,
hasn't
don't
been done
worry.
a million times, or fukubukuro or whatever. Like, great, good for you. If that honestly though, if that gets them views, then cool. They tapped into a market. It's just, I don't identify with that, so that's not what I want to present.
Well, don't worry. There's a whole community with dedicated users who don't like that kind of content. So
Hmm. Oh,
maybe you've heard of them.
I wonder if they have a subreddit or something. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're what is it? They got hedge funds or something. What's it? No, what's the name of that Reddit one that's been in the news? Like
Oh,
Little Big Mans or something. Little Big Boys.
Wall Street
And like
Bets?
some Wall
No, that.
Street Bets, that's
Yeah,
it. And it
yeah.
has like the little cartoon character.
I thought it was Trump at first, but it's just like
It's a businessman. Yeah, I
it's a
thought it was Trump
businessman.
too.
Yeah,
I
because the
thought it was
slick
like
back hair. Yeah.
some edgy kind of like Pepe the Frog kind of thing or something, but
Mm,
no, it's not.
yeah.
Just like some businessman.
No, they're
No, and,
all.
and if people want to know what we're talking about Japan Circle Jerk on Reddit. Anyway,
Yes.
sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was just gonna talk more about the Wall Street Bets. It's basically just a bunch of they self-proclaimed autists that just spend their whole day looking at stock tickers, and they just decided to say fuck Wall Street and play them at their own game. So I'm
Yeah,
enjoying it. It's entertaining to me.
no, it's definitely entertaining.
Mm,
I mean, I'm enjoying all the memes. Some of them are really good.
mm.
I
So
feel like
that,
because on my Discord, I have I have two sections of like two different types of memes, just regular memes
mm,
and like COVID memes. I'm like, am I gonna have to make a Wall Street meme section now?
right.
Probably not, because I don't think it's gonna last that long. Or
Mm.
maybe it will. Who knows?
Well, that's the best thing out of the last decade that I've appreciated with the internet is the evolution of memes. I mean, memes have been around on the internet for a long, long time, but they've really. I guess this would be. Would you consider this the golden age of internet memes that we're in the last
Oh
five,
yeah, no, I
five,
mean,
6 years?
like you remember Mad Magazine, right? I have a
Mm-hmm.
whole book on
Mm-hmm.
Mad Magazine back here.
I got in
Um,
trouble at school for bringing a Mad magazine in fifth grade that
really?
that had some cartoon boobies in it. Yeah.
They don't actually show boobies. Anyway, I
They
got
were
the Mad
they were they were
Magazine book.
circles with dots on them. That's all it
Oh,
was. So,
okay.
yeah,
She's wearing pasties or something.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because he what was it last year? I can't remember. I think it was last year. No, maybe it was 2019 when Mad Magazine stopped publishing magazines.
I think it was 2019 maybe.
Yeah, I guess it was
Hmm.
2019. It all becomes a blur at some point.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, yeah, I can understand why nobody likes Mad anymore because we just have internet memes. Because Mad Magazine was what you went to for like something to laugh at.
Mm.
Now we just have internet memes.
And then there was Cracked. You remember Cracked?
Yeah,
But
Cracked.
before the
Yeah, I didn't
internet
like that one.
cracked, before the internet version of Cracked, Cracked magazine was. I always saw it as like a knockoff of Mad.
Oh, it's total knockoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what did you think about the internet version of Mad? Like for a while there, back in like the early 2010s, it was they had some pretty interesting articles, I thought.
I didn't even know there was an internet version. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. Like nowadays, yeah, I mean you can still find some of the old articles. They're still up, but it was like cracked.com, but they would have
Oh,
lists
Cracked. I know Cracked. Yeah, I remember Cracked. Not, I don't know. Mad Magazine did any articles or
No, no,
anything.
no. I said cracked. I said
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I
cracked
misunderstood.
cracked.com back in the early 2010s. Yeah.
Right, right, right.
Yeah. So what did you think about that? Like, because the magazine itself I thought was ass, but once they went onto the internet and started writing articles, I found some of them quite entertaining, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they took a very different direction with it. Like they
Hmm.
stopped using that character because they kind of had, I forgot his name, but they had a character that was very much like Alfred E. Newman,
Hmm.
but he had like blonde hair and he wore like white slacks and a white hat. And it was just, yeah, it was like you said, it was just seemed like it was always a knockoff of Mad Magazine. But then when they went on the internet, they started making all these listicles like BuzzFeed.
Hmm.
There's
Before
something
BuzzFeed, yeah.
nobody talks about anymore. BuzzFeed,
Oh God,
like the
yeah.
listicles. What was the last listicle you looked at? Have you
Uh,
looked at a listicle recently?
28 listicles that I no longer keep up with on Google.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't look at those anymore. I mean, I remember I used to look at them for like to kill time or
Mm.
something, but
They still exist
yeah.
in like blogs and stuff. Like if you say like just how to do this, whatever you want to do, if you type that into Google, you'll find a listicle for it. 5 ways to lose
That's
weight in
true.
20 days, or
Or
so.
or WikiHow. That's true. I do
Wiki.
check that out sometimes.
I love WikiHow just because of the pictures they
The
attach.
illustrations.
The
Yeah, they're pretty
illustrations are
good.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Crack did like a couple of listicles. I remember they had one on Japan, which was
Mm,
really cool.
hmm.
That was kind of neat to have. Where like they're kind of like pulling back the kimono, quote unquote.
Ooh.
Um, isn't that like a? I mean, is that a racist term? I don't know. Have
No,
you ever heard that one
I
before?
say I
Pulling
see
back
this
the
more.
kimono?
To me, it sounds vaguely sexual.
Yeah, no, it does. Sounds very sexual, but no. Yeah, they're kind of like pulling back the kimono on like what it really looks like to be in Japan. Like everybody uses fax machines,
Oh yeah, yeah. But
that
it's
sort of thing.
still though that whole this is the real Japan. It's like it still kind of brings that mystification, that Japan is somehow different than the rest of the world. Like they still use faxes in the 21st century. Like okay, like you're still trying to portray Japan as different in some way when it's like any other country. Of course, there are going to be differences between this country and another country.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it seemed like they had like a YouTube channel for a little while, and they're doing sketches, which were pretty funny. Some of them were pretty good.
Mm.
Like they had one called "After the Trump" or after I forgot what it was called. I think it's "After the Trump," where they tried to talk about Donald Trump as if it was or the American political sphere
Mm.
as if it was like a TV show. That was kind of funny, but it was a little too not on the nose,
I was
or
going to
what
say it
was the
sounds like
word?
a bit on the nose because I've related the whole last 5 years as America the reality show. Like season we just had the season finale. Of the
Yeah, well then
Trump
they
years.
would talk about it like it's a TV show. They were pretty funny. They had some good jokes, like where they said things like, "I don't really like all these new characters. They have like really on the nose names, like Bannon. He bans everything. Kellyanne Conway. She's a con.
Mm.
Like, what's up with these names?"
Yeah. Well, it's kind of circles back to that whole simulation thing. Like a lot of stuff is really on the nose. You're just like, come on, this can't be real, can it? Like seriously, like a lot of situations in the last 4 years, I just had to shake my head and like, this seems like we're in a TV show, that we're living in a TV show, you
Yeah.
know?
It's all right. That's why we have people like Elon Musk disrupting the fabric of reality.
Good. Papa Musk, bless. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen the? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're definitely familiar with the Bernie Sanders mittens memes that have been
Oh,
floating
of
around.
course. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I have
the
tons of those. Those are great.
the Did you see the caterpillar one where he's like a giant Bernie
I have not seen
caterpillar?
that one.
I'll send it to you later.
All right.
But,
Okay.
but I saw
I'll put on
one.
my Discord.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. There's one of Elon Musk holding his baby, and the baby's actually just Bernie Sanders sitting in his chair. You know.
Okay.
Yeah. They've gotten pretty crazy. But
Yeah. No, the one I like is the one where like Bernie's sitting down in his chair, and he's like at like a stripper room or stripper. What do you call that?
strip club.
Strip club. Yeah,
Mhm.
just strip club. And then there's this woman that has the name capitalism on her shirt, and she's just like she's caressing Bernie Sanders.
And he
That's my favorite.
and he's just staring off. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you know how he always gives that weird grimace all the time, like
Mm.
he's cold or he hasn't had his coffee in the morning.
And he's
He always
grumpy,
does that.
grumpy old
Yeah.
Bernie. You know.
So it's just perfect. That was my favorite.
Yeah. I I admit, like I thought, the memes have been great, just overall, and some of these have been very creative. But do you think there'll ever come a time where people just think there's too many memes, or is that, or is that blasphemy at this point?
There's already too many memes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing is that it's one of these things where it's like they're so easy and like they cost nothing to make a meme, and there is no money behind it. So they'll constantly exist because people need things for comic relief because we live in such a depressing world.
Right.
There's so many great Instagram accounts that have like very dark memes. So I follow most of them where they're just like they're all about just kind of like the darkness of human reality, and they're funny. But
Hide
yeah,
the
I
Pain
think
Herald
they're
has been my favorite meme to date.
Hide the Pain Herald. I think
Yeah.
I've had. Let me find that one.
It's like originally stock photo of some old man from like Poland or Bulgaria or something, and
Oh, that guy. Yeah, I know who
yeah,
you're talking
and
about.
he
Yeah,
always has
that's
this
funny.
pained expression on his face, but he's smiling like, like,
Yeah,
that's my
good.
favorite one. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, it's
So,
good. Or the what's the other one? The other one, that I guess I'll die one, where like he's
oh,
wearing
where
like a
he's
red
like,
sweater.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
like shrugging. Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean the evolution of memes are just gonna keep going, I think. It's
Mm.
not gonna You're gonna have like a couple of major hits here and there. It's kind of like music or film or whatever, except there's no money behind it.
yeah, yeah. They're pretty organic. So, um, the only thing is, I guess this is a very big generational thing, but have you seen what they call like the difference between millennial memes and Gen Z memes? Or like,
I have
sorry,
not.
what? No, no, what is it? It's boomer memes, millennial memes, and Gen Z memes, basically.
Boomers make memes?
Yeah, they're like the kind of what we call them boomer cons, like boomer conservatives who like share like the Trump, like it's like Trump with like a bald eagle and like riding next to Jesus, and it's really patriotic, and it's like they're not funny. They're just like okay, but the only people who really share them are other boomer conservatives, on Facebook or
Okay.
something. Yeah, and or people who share them ironically, right? But then
Right.
you have millennial memes, which is probably our generation, what we find funny, and then the Gen Z memes are you look at it and it's like one basically the template for a Gen Z meme is um, something A, something B, and then part C is like something completely not even related to it because random is funny. And
Oh, you're talking. That's Generation Z.
that's what
Random
that's what
is
I
funny.
read. Yeah, that like random
Yeah,
stuff.
no, that's very true. Like I remember, I think somebody sent me a couple of. I think he was a Zoomer. They sent me a couple of their memes, and I'm like, okay. It was just like so over my head.
Yeah.
I'm like, huh. And I was thinking about this. Like I was watching TikTok, right?
Hmm.
and I'm just watching some of these videos, and I'm like, this thing would be great if I had tons of free time and I had nothing to do. But I got so much to do. I
Right.
have so many things I have to take care of, and it's just what's funny about like humor back from like a long time ago, like Karl Marx, not
Mm.
Karl Marx, fucking A.
Yes, he is
Wrong Marx.
hilarious. He is hilarious.
Yeah, I love Das Kapital.
Yeah.
Oh, wood meme again.
Yeah.
No, Groucho Marx,
Groucho
excuse
Marx.
me.
Yeah.
Same guy, right?
Yeah.
No, Groucho Marx, like if you watch that comedy, it's smart comedy. Like you have to listen to what he's saying.
Right.
There's not much of that anymore. Like where there's like punchlines and or like jokes you have to think about. Or at least correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't live in the States anymore. I mean, you do too, and you don't live in the States either. But I imagine humor is kind of evolving into this thing where it's no longer about smart humor. It's more about, I guess since Z's the next generation,
Mm.
random humor, I suppose.
Well, I guess stand-up comedy is a bit different. There's a lot of
Yeah, that's true.
really great stand-up comics right now. But in terms of overall mainstream comedy, I think you're right. I think even though it started in our generation, Family Guy, for instance, like I still find Family Guy funny sometimes. But I can't watch it for too long because it's the randomness. It just gets, I don't know, like there's something about it that I can't watch it, like but I'll go back and watch older clips from like the original run, and I chuckle at that, or like the older Simpsons episodes, but like Simpsons, as you have Homer Simpson in the background there, but like the Simpsons episodes from recent years, I just watch it, I go, it's like the same characters, but I don't recognize what this is. The humor is. I know they have different writers, but it's like it's completely different show than what it used to be.
Yeah, and I think what that basically is, it's the stress of having to produce a show every week,
Yeah.
and they need to keep everybody fed. They need to keep the actors fed. They need to keep, the writers fed. And, they have a certain demand that they need to meet. And so sometimes they often like use, milk toast comedy, and that'll do because it's just a brand.
Mm.
They don't really need to live up to make any really great jokes, or I guess maybe they can't. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe this makes me sound like an apologist for The Simpsons or The Family Guy and how the content is kind of degraded over the years, but I think that's the reality of it.
Well, I mean, at some point, I think you got to know when to call it quits. But if it's a cash cow, especially in America, you just milk it for all it's worth. It's like what I find interesting about South Park. They're still going. They can still find ways to stay relevant. But if you notice, this last season, they just had that pandemic special, and then there hasn't been a season this year. Just that special.
Was it just the pandemic special?
Only the pandemic special. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
They didn't have a full season this last year.
Huh. Okay.
And I kept expecting, like, okay, like searching when is season, I think it's 23 or 24, when is season 23, 24 starting? And it was just, well, South Park has the pandemic special, but nothing has been announced about the start of this season. I'm like, okay.
Right.
Yeah, but
maybe they're having
deals
trouble.
Yeah. Mm. Well, I think they said somewhere, like even in the pandemic special, it's like reality has become almost a parody of itself. So they don't really, there's nothing they can really say that's going to make it too relevant anymore. They can't skewer it any more than they already have.
Yeah. Quit while you're ahead. Right.
Mm-hmm. So, but we sitting here talking about, different aspects of pop culture. I want to ask you, when is
yeah, sure.
when is rad culture
right.
Are you going to continue that? I think you said
no, I want to continue it. Yeah. The problem is that I need to write the script, and then I need to make the video, and then I need to make the podcast, and
right.
The problem is that a lot of the time you have like Why Come Japan, which is, as they say, pet projects always take off. Because it's just something I did for fun on the side, and it's easier to make those kind of episodes. And yeah, rad culture was a thing that I've wanted to make for a long time, and I have a lot of ideas. But the problem is here's a fun fact. I spent all of last year, or not all of last year, just like a couple of days, but I did like somebody recommended me like write out a flow chart for your
Mm,
normal life. Like how does your life, progress? Like from when you wake up till the end of your day. And so I started writing it, and then I thought about how, my progression is with like Why Come Japan. Basically the steps are find guests, or basically find content,
mm,
find something.
mm,
And so I search, I look for places, type on things, look for things on Japan, and then I find something. All right, see if they're easy to contact. So I figure out if they're easy enough to contact, or if they seem cool enough like they would do or likely to do an interview, I message them. I write a nice message or something, or I know someone who knows them who, will tell me if they're up for doing interviews kind of like this. And then I ask them, okay, well, when's a good time? And then I ask for a photo. Do you like to make the art for it? And then to like edit the episode, and then it's upload, and that's a process.
mm,
And then when I started thinking about the rad culture stuff, the stuff about pop culture, the problem is that wait a minute, there's no work in progress. It's like write the script, now what? I guess shoot the video, or wait. Then I have to keep on thinking, okay, what do I do next? And that's kind of where it's at. And I mean,
okay.
it's a little. I have to. What I think I have to do. It's sort of like what they say. What's that triangle? The You can only choose two: fast, cheap, or good. You have to
Mm,
pick two of them. You can't
mm,
pick all three. It's either got to be good and cheap, fast and good, or one of those.
mm,
Or good and cheap. Probably going to be good. Probably trying to shoot for good and cheap, but probably it's going to have to be fast and good. Otherwise, nothing's going to be made.
mm, mm, mm. Well, it's the especially when you start growing with a podcast or anything, really, it's a problem everyone faces is scaling up in production value and quality and quickness or whatever, and if you're doing this all by yourself, yeah, you're probably not going to be able to produce it quickly if you want it quality. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
um, there comes a point where you'll have to scale up and hire an assistant to help you out with certain things. Um,
Yeah, no, it
so
might become like that. I'm not sure because I have a bunch of scripts in the works,
mm,
but I mean, another thing, it's sort of like it's like with journalism. Like when I
mm,
had Patrick St. Michel on the show,
yeah,
I was asking him like all these kind of stupid questions about journalism because I figured he seemed nice enough to answer my dumb questions about journalism
yeah,
because he like writes part time for the maybe full time. I'm not sure exactly. I should have him on again, but he writes for the Japan Times,
okay,
and I would ask him things. So how do you write articles? Like how do you put them together? And he says, well, it sounds like this is journalism 101 here. And he was pretty much telling me that um, you have to always you can take a lot of old stories. You can have a bunch of old stories floating around, but
mm,
you always kind of have to repurpose them so it goes along with what's going on in the world, or like what's going on in the zeitgeist of our times.
right.
So that's part of what I need to do, and that's another thing is also finding my voice. But maybe another thing with that is I just need to start and just say fuck it, which I probably will eventually do. But
That's I
until
mean
then,
that's
that's where I'm
yeah.
at.
I think we're very similar in that regard. Is at least for me, sometimes I get in my own head like, oh, I want it this way, and I don't want to put anything out unless it's this way. But until you do it, you can't really. But at least for me, it's like until I actually start putting stuff out, I can't. That actually helps me figure out where I want to steer, how I want to do things. That helps me figure it out is when I actually produce something, because then I'll say, okay, I look back on that and go, nah, that one went really well, but this one not so much, right? So I'll do more of this sort of thing, right? So
Yeah,
um, I think in the beginning, of course, you want to make quality content, but if you want to get anywhere, you just have to keep making stuff, and if something is not successful and not good, don't don't not don't let that stop you from making stuff. Just continue on and I guess learn from that, So
yeah. What do they call that? Perfection paralysis. Yeah,
mm-hmm,
I kind of get caught in that sometimes.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So eventually I'll get to that stage. I mean, it is the thing I kind of want to pursue because in one of my earlier videos or podcasts or episodes or whatever you want to call it, I was talking about setting goals for the entire year.
Mm.
And I was thinking there's a lot of these creators. I might be able to get on the show. Like I might be able to, if I send them a nice message and, I approach them the right way, I could probably get them to talk about, whatever it is they've created. Like one name I've been saying over and over again, and I'm contemplating about how to contact him, is like the creator of Earthworm Jim, Doug TenNapel. And there's a couple of others, like the one of the writers for the Sonic the Hedgehog comic book, Ken Penders. I'm thinking maybe a way to contact him, but anyway.
What I would just say to that is just do it. Just ask.
Yeah,
and that's how I've
Shia LaBeouf said it best.
Yeah.
That listen to that man behind the green screen.
Right. So, but really, I mean, so the best approach that I found is ask, but also offer something in return.
Yeah, that's always good.
And it's usually been met positively in that sense. So, out of all the people that I've asked, I've only actually been turned down for an interview maybe like twice. So,
really?
Yeah. So, and it was nothing to do with they were just that's just not my thing, So, which I respect in that sense, but.
Well, you got John McAfee on the show. That was pretty cool.
And all that required was just to ask, So
yeah.
So.
Well, you had to write a formal letter, right?
No, I just emailed his PR rep. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was polite.
You have his PR rep. All right.
Yeah, I mean, it was polite, but
yo, dog, I got this pod thing. You want to do it?
Yeah, right. No, I mean, it wasn't like that, but I basically, just contacted his media rep, which is his wife, by the way, and they were like, "Yeah, Mr. McAfee's available at this time, this day, this method. Are you cool with that?" I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "All right, let's set it up." So.
Does he do a lot of podcasts? I've actually never really looked.
Not anymore. He's been in a Spanish prison for a while, so he's waiting.
Right, he talked about that. I remember that.
He's waiting on extradition to the U.S. It's for tax evasion, but he doesn't even owe any taxes because he doesn't pay taxes. So he has no money generated in the U.S., so they can't really get him on taxes. So it's he says it's for another reason. So.
Right. Yeah, that's a good interview. I should listen to that one again.
Yeah, it's he goes off on some interesting places, but it's very fascinating. He was very fascinating to talk with. So it was nice little feather in my cap in my earlier days, I thought.
Yeah.
So, but no, what has been your most rewarding thing that you've gotten from podcasting? Because it's for me, it's been really entertaining just talking to new and cool people, What about you?
What's been the most rewarding part of it?
Yeah. Because you said you started off as a pet project, right? So.
Yeah. I guess the most rewarding thing about it is just being able to get the newer guests for the show. Because I don't know, with my life in general, when as I've gotten older, and been interested, because maybe you've been following my YouTube page for a while, I've always had an interest in making film and making movies, but of course that's always a pipe dream, especially because you have to when you're going to make a movie, you have to do it like you mean it. You have to really fucking want it. You can't you just say, oh, maybe I'll make a movie someday. No, you can't say that. You have to organize everything. You have to organize the actors, especially if you can't find a producer to help you out with your films. So a lot of the time, I would be, looking for stuff to figure out okay, well, how do I make a film? How do I write a decent screenplay? How do I make my photos look neat? That sort of thing. And I'd run across a couple of books. One was, I think I have it here. Yeah, here it is. That's a good one. This book, Which Lie Did I Tell by William Goldman. He also wrote another one called Adventures in the Screen Trade, which is also pretty good. He just died recently.
That's a shame.
Yeah, well, he was really old though, like in his late 90s. But no, he wrote the story about because he's written so many books and screenplays. Like I'm sure you've heard of like The Princess Bride. He wrote
Mm-hmm.
the I think was it not Lion in the Winter? Some story about lions with what's his name? Not Kirk Douglas, Michael Douglas in it, and Val Kilmer. Can't remember the name of the movie,
Oh.
but he said when he was writing a bunch of stories, a lot of the time, like when he'd write these stories, he'd have tons of questions. And one time he met up with this lion tamer, and he just starts asking him all these questions, like how often do you lion tame?
Mm-hmm.
Like how did you get interested in this?
Right.
And
Right.
he just shot them with all these questions, and he said this is part of how I learned to be a better writer was just to just constantly ask questions and be very interested about what it is I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes on about talking to this lion tamer. He says, have you ever been like, hurt by any of the lions? And I guess he was like wearing like black glasses or something at the time when he was asking him. And he took off his glasses and there's like this huge scar in his eye. He says, just once I almost got killed by a lion. Like,
Damn.
wow. I'm
Damn.
like, that story was great. I mean, he's really good at telling stories.
Mm.
So that's partially why I thought, this is something I could do.
Yeah.
I love at talking to people like
Mm.
something like this. And, podcasting is starting to become more of a thing, because everybody has a podcast, quote unquote, like comedians, I don't know, for any kind of topic that you're interested in,
Yeah.
but not anything, but a lot of things. And so I figured, why come Japan would be a great opportunity to get like creatives on the show
Mm-hmm.
to just talk about how it is they make what it is they do. And because sometimes, the best thing you can always do from watching other people is learning how they make it.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
you can always apply the advice that they give you as well.
right. Right. Well, I mean, what they say, you know, all good artists, take from previous works in some way.
Oh,
It's
they
not.
steal? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, um, but that's with everything. Like, there's really not a lot of originality left in this world. In terms of new things, it's just a new way to approach an older thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So, because podcasts aren't really new. The medium is fairly new, but talking to people has been around since since we learned to communicate. Um, this format has gone through different phases, even in the modern era. Like radio, and then TV. Like the in the 60s and 70s, they had these TV shows where people would just sit down and just have discussions on TV,
Yeah.
and you don't
Yeah.
see that
Yeah.
anymore.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true. They used to have those. I used to
and
watch those on CNN with my mom. They don't have those
right.
anymore.
Mm. And then I know, like recently, Larry King died, and as goofy as he looked, like with the suspenders and stuff, I always really enjoyed listening to his interviews because he always had really great interviews with anyone he talked to. I thought so. Um, he was actually it's weird to say, like, pretty inspirational.
Yeah. Did you
Larry
ever
fucking
watch
King.
his
So.
did you ever see his interview with Eric Andre?
What? No, he
You
talked.
gotta
Oh
see
my
it.
God! Yeah, I got to see this now. So yeah,
It's like a millennial talking to a boomer.
great. Because Eric Andre's like he's in a world of his own. He's a troll for sure, but like he's
He's the anti-talk show host.
yeah, yeah. Have you seen his stand-up special though?
I have not. I should watch
It's
that. I
on
don't
it's
really
on
watch him to
Netflix.
stand up. Okay.
Yeah, it's on
Any good?
Netflix. Yeah, I enjoyed it. One of the cool things he did was he took some audience member's smartphone and just FaceTimed the guy's mom and got her
Oh,
on this
really?
big screen. And then like he started telling raunchy jokes, and like she could see the audience and like they could see her reaction and stuff. And he made a whole bit out of just a random FaceTime with some guy's mom. So
Wow.
it was you'd never know what direction that could have gone, but it turned out really entertaining. Yeah, it was really entertaining. So
Right. Well, you've seen the Eric Andre show,
oh
right?
yeah, oh yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
I
I'm
love.
just watching some of the stuff. Like, how does he come up with this idea?
Yeah.
Because it seems like because I've seen some video essays on Eric Andre where they say
Hmm.
things like he's like Bugs Bunny. He's like he constantly, he breaks the logic of every situation.
Yeah.
You'd think that like it's going to start off. You think logically, okay, well, this is a talk show. He's going to do a stand up, and then the stand up becomes one of these things where he shoots Hannibal Burgess, and then he just has this whole. He gets really contemplative about. Wait a minute, who killed Hannibal? Then it
Right.
cuts to the next like
That became a
segment.
meme
You
too,
know?
right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, no, like when I first happened upon his show, it was on Adult Swim. It still is, right? Like he's still making it, I think.
Well, he made the fifth season, which I haven't seen yet. I need to
Mm.
binge that probably at some point.
But
I have the
they're all
time.
on. Well, most of them are on YouTube anyway. But like when I first saw it, a lot of his guests didn't know, especially in the
Oh yeah,
early.
that's
Yeah,
that's the beauty of it.
that's the beauty of it. But some of them
Yeah.
were in on it. Like Tyler, the creator, had to be in on it, like because he kind of played along with it. But
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, because he was expecting everything.
hmm
And do you remember that? Like, cause he shows up and he opens up the desk. He looks around everywhere. You know.
yeah. But even ones like who was it? Seth Rogen knew
Yeah.
that something was going to happen, but he still found a way to piss Seth Rogen off. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I could tell the fifth season really started to change because like he started to get really mean.
Yeah. Um, the one with Jack Black was good because Jack Black played along with it, even though he wasn't. He knew something was going to happen, but he didn't know what,
Yeah.
and so he just took every thing with stride. And I think they did whippets on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they suck the nitrous oxide and get really high. So
Oh, did they? That I didn't
yeah,
know.
yeah, like they do whippets on there, and then like he starts freaking him out by like having random animals crawling up in the ceiling and like a bird flying around, and Jack Black's like trying to dodge bird shit and everything. So um,
Like and also giving like electric shocks,
yeah,
like every time he lies or something. He
that
says, "What's your address? Tell us your address."
was that Jack Black? Yeah, that was Jack Black,
Yeah,
wasn't
that
it?
was Jack Black.
Yeah, that's
He
good.
broke him.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. It's pretty
Yeah.
good. It's mean, but it's
Mm.
pretty good.
But yeah, it's funny that you brought that up. They say he's compared him to Bugs Bunny. I never saw it that way, but it's very interesting. I can see the comparisons to Bugs Bunny. That's a where'd you read that at?
It's like some YouTube video. I could share it
Oh,
with
okay,
you.
okay,
Put it on
yeah,
the
yeah.
Discord or something.
So yeah, so you talked a little bit about your creative process. That what was the book you showed about um, before the show about the artists?
Oh, that one I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the one by Austin Kleon called "Steal Like an Artist." He
Hmm.
wrote two other books. I don't know, I guess three. The other book was "Show Your Work." The other one is "Keep Going." I think.
Mm.
I think "Keep Going."
Yeah.
And then one like "Steal Like an Artist" journal. I mean, there's kind of self-helpy kind of stuff, but I mean, in
Okay.
terms of like creativity, if you need like a little pick me up,
Mm.
like you feel like, oh, I'm feeling creatively burnt out, it's a good thing to read, if you're like, okay, well, how do I be creative in this, situation? Like I need some advice. I need some, something to get me going.
Right.
And it's great for that. So, I mean, maybe I shouldn't dunk on self-help books so much because it's really easy to dunk on them, because sometimes they are
There's a lot of bullshit out
valuable.
there. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, there is a lot of bullshit out there. There really is.
well, there is a lot of good value in a lot of that stuff, but there's also a lot of bullshit. So you got to know, what to take from it and what to leave. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah,
mm.
well, it's true. Everybody
Um,
likes money.
yes, yes. Have you ever, what was it? Have you ever heard of the book The War of Art by Stephen
Oh,
Pressfield?
yeah. Stephen
Yeah,
Pressfield. Yeah, I've read that.
yeah, yeah.
I love the first half of it. The second half, I fell asleep.
The first half of it's really interesting, and then once he starts getting into like the muse thing, I thought, it's not bad.
Yeah,
It's just
his.
like you said, it's just kind of okay, but
Well, I think it was just stuff like because he started off pretty strong when he was talking about like the power of like resistance, like how you're always
mhm,
resistant to do something,
yeah,
and that's very true. So I mean, I definitely got that. I mean, I liked how the intro is. done by what's his name here? I have his book too. Robert McKee,
Hmm.
the one who wrote Story. Like he does an intro for the Stephen Pressfield War on Art or War of Art or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the War of Art. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you read this book, I mean, some people hate this book because they think that it's like pretentious and it's Hollywood garbage. But I think it's really good. I personally love it.
It's quite
And
thick.
it is thick. But it's like if you ever wanted to know how do I write a normal screenplay, it's a good place to start. Uh, it'll give you a general idea. You'll feel like you're ready to start writing after you've read it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
yeah, no, he did a little intro for that, and I said, okay, this is probably going to be good because if he doesn't seem like a person who slacks off, but he talks about how he slacks off in the first intro.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what I found, a lot about these writers about like self-help and everything, even if they're not promoting it as self-help, is they always talk about they used to be this way, but now they're not, and this is how they got over that. And I always found that really fascinating that these are flawed people too. They just found a key to their success, and maybe it could work for you, if you apply some of these principles. So that was
Yeah.
that was always
No.
good.
That's. I mean, yeah. As a human beings, we're all flawed, so
Right.
that's
Right.
definitely a thing.
So you talked about what was it? You said last year, like you planned like your whole goals for the whole year or something. But what did you do that for this year, or like what do you have in
Oh
planned
no, I did
for?
that for this year, and
Oh,
not so
I
much
got it.
last year.
Okay. Okay.
It was
So
mostly after the abroad in Japan interview that I started doing that.
yeah, yeah. So what what is your like? How do you break it down? Like, do you have like a huge overall goal that you want to achieve, and then like mini goals on that, or like many separate goals that you hope to achieve throughout the year?
Well, yeah, I guess that's kind of the thing. I guess the biggest thing is like as I was saying in that episode, I was watching this 3 hour interview with Lorne Lenning, the creator
Hmm.
of Oddworld,
Yeah.
and he was talking about how what you really need to do is because he was talking about how what's his name, Masayoshi Kon or something's
Mm.
name, the CEO of SoftBank. They asked him, "What's the key to your success? How did you become the person that you are today?" And he just said 2 words: think big. And he said that for him, what that really meant is you need to always be thinking bigger, thinking in bigger scale,
Hmm.
not always be thinking in like the smaller scale. Because I'm always kind of thinking in the smaller scale because it's easy to like get like smaller attainable goals. Like, okay, I want to get this many followers on Twitter or something or whatever. Like something attainable. Like let's say for me, I'm at like what, 600 or something, like 700. That's pretty attainable, right? Write to a bunch of funny people, find a couple of communities, boom, done, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty easy.
Yeah.
But in general, just having some sort of goals set to like go to a bigger goal or that lead to a bigger goal, because it's a little daunting,
Mm.
to say set a big goal but have no idea how to get there. Say like I want to
Yeah.
be president of the United States by the time I'm 37. You know,
Wow.
you
Yeah,
know.
that's very ambitious of you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like how does that even look like? Like how would I even what would I begin? Where would I start? I mean, especially like I also too, like you really have to kind of have a vision for some of this. And once you have like a set vision for like what it is you're looking to do and what you want to do,
Mm.
it's a little bit easier to get, yourself started. Like I'm still doing this for myself. Like I'm still trying to figure out what goals do I need to be setting for myself? What do I need to be doing to get me to the bigger step in my life?
Hmm.
So if I'm going to be getting to that step, I need to think about the process. Like what do I need to be doing in this day and that day? I mean, I know this kind of sounds like I'm overthinking it
Mm.
in a way, but it's a lot better than just like, you know, you're sitting there during New Year's drinking your wine and you're like, fuck, what did I do this year?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't want to have that experience again.
No, I know what you mean, man.
Like,
Like, yeah, you gotta have steps to follow. You can't just float around and expect you're the goal that you have set. It's not like The Secret where you can just, I'm imagining,
Fucking A.
I'm imagining what I want and I'll get it. No, you
Well,
gotta
there
like,
is some truth to that, but yeah.
but what they don't tell you is, yes, that's good. You have a vision, but you got to do the work to get there. That's it's not just going to magically appear for you if you think about it. Like
Right.
what the purpose is of that, what the message is supposed to be is have a want, have a burning desire, and because you have that, you will do the things you need to do to get there, to
Yeah.
attain it. You know what I mean? It's not just going to magically appear at a whoa, here it is. So
Yeah.
so
Was that the self-fulfilling prophecy?
yeah.
Is that what that is? Yeah, it's fine to have that because it leads to like, makes you live more positive and gives you a vision. But yeah,
Mm.
when you apply it to everything, no, 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 no.
No.
It's sort of like, oh, I have cancer. It's okay. I think positively. Like, no.
Well, I
Go
mean,
to
it depends.
chemotherapy. Figure out something.
Depends on what stage you're at. So
Yeah, that too.
yeah. Damn, that
So
got dark.
yeah, no, it is dark, but I'm just saying that I don't know. People
Yeah,
ask me
yeah.
sometimes, like, why do you like so many dark stories, so many dark movies and dark humor?
Mm,
And I'm like, hey, I like to look at the reality of life. I want to
yeah,
understand what's the worst thing that could possibly happen to me, in terms of this. So at least I'm aware of it. I'm conscious of it.
right.
I mean, maybe this is like an ethical thing, but it's sort of like, would you rather know that there's neo-Nazis in the world, or would you rather just censor them? You know,
Yes, yes, right.
that sort of
Like
thing.
keep them in the public sphere. I think let them be
Yeah.
known. Don't shove them underground.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that, like, probably censorship in some regards, it's like inevitable. It's pretty hard to avoid, like, not censoring someone. Like, there's even like stuff like self-censorship where people are
Mm,
self-censoring themselves because they're worried about certain information getting
yeah,
out there.
yeah. Hold that thought. Actually, if you want to take an opportunity to talk about your podcast, I
Yeah,
have to
sure.
I have to step out for a second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, sure.
intermission with Radrey.
Okay. Um, yeah, be sure to like, follow, subscribe. Be sure to give Shea some stars. If you're not giving some stars, give him some reviews. Tell him what your favorite podcast was of his. Things you'd like to see. This is something all creators would like to see for their podcast. This is like it's gold to them. If you like listening to this, this is good, sounds for your ears. Yeah, we definitely appreciate that feedback. Um, like other things are like, participating in comments. If anything that's coming in your head, whether it's positive or negative, it's really great to hear back from people. I think a lot of the time, sometimes people are, there's often the saying that, like, if you have something, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. I mean, I slightly agree, but I also disagree, because you should probably, people need to hear things. I mean, like, the bigger you get on the internet, the more criticism you're going to receive. So you're going to have to just bring it on. You got to bring it in to your life and, accept the criticism that's coming towards you and figure out what you're going to do with it. Otherwise, you end up like creators like Tokyo Drew. Anyway, but yeah. So, man, I got a terrible cough. I do not have coronavirus. So that was, it was like my throat or something. It was dry. It was a little itchy. But yeah, so right now I'm planning on working on making the Why Come Japan website. So make it look a little more flashy, give them like a newsletter, that sort of thing. Because I've been kind of aping the style of Japan by River Cruise. And actually, I have a couple of their stickers. I got a few of them here. One right here and one right here. Got them from Bobby Judo.
Oh,
Not too
Bobby
long
Judo,
ago.
huh?
Yeah, have you been listening to his new podcast? Or
I
I guess
haven't.
it's not new anymore. It's been
Well,
around for more than a year.
yeah, I knew he had one. I haven't got around to listening to it yet, though. What's
Yeah, it's
the
good. It's
yeah?
good.
Mm-hmm.
He has a lot more blue checkmark people on his show. So
Well, he's
that's how you know you're
also
doing well in the podcast sphere.
right. Well, he's kind of made a little name for himself out in Kyushu.
Yeah,
He's
that's true. He's also in television. I'm sure that really helps.
yeah,
You know,
that's what I mean. He's more of a public figure than we are. So, but uh, did you what's the deal with the Kings of Kanto thing? That's what I wanted to kind of ask you about.
yeah.
What
It's
what,
actually
what
just
what's that
King
whole
of
deal?
Kanto.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I can talk about that.
Okay.
No, it's actually King of Kanto, which is kind of funny because it
Okay.
makes it. And when I first heard about them, I thought it was
King,
Kings of Kanto.
yeah.
Like it makes it sound like they're the people who judge, cringy content.
Right.
But no, no, no. The concept of it is that the King of Kanto is a podcast about. It's basically what I'm saying. What we were talking about earlier is
Hmm.
that there's just so much Japan related content, and a lot of it is just milk toast. A lot of it is just very mundane, and there's not a lot of creativity behind it. Because, like I said earlier, in 2009, you could film yourself going to the convenience, getting a Kit Kat bar, and people would love it. They'd eat it up because uh, I think one of the things is that YouTube, it kind of gives you a glimpse into like entertainment that's like really amateurly produced,
Hmm.
and it's very easy to watch it opposed to like something that's heavily produced like a Netflix show.
Right.
And it's very different. I mean, like nowadays, I mean, there was like the ASMR videos that came out a little while ago that they aren't really a thing anymore. I want to
Hmm.
argue that, but maybe it is. I'm not
No,
sure.
they're still around. They're just more
It's
niche
not
at
as
this
big
point.
as it was, I
No,
think. I'd
no, no.
argue
You're
that
right.
it's not as big.
Hmm.
But that was sort of like an example of a thing that Hollywood wasn't doing. I mean, of course, they kind of got into it later, and then I think Hollywood kind of ruined it. Like, hey, I'm doing ASMR too. Hey,
Yeah.
kids, I'm your boomer dad.
Yeah.
Boomer
Well,
dad says that ASMR is cool too.
yeah.
You know?
Hollywood's always pretty late to to things at this point. So.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So you had a bunch of the like early 2009, 2010, 2011. The more and more YouTube's around, and people are foreigners are making content about um, this sort of mundanity of life because a lot of us we don't have huge production crews. We just have our mundane lives
Right.
where and a lot of people like sometimes they're held back by like wherever they're living where they can't experience these mundane things other places of the world. And they'd love to live in Japan. They'd love to get kind of a simple job teaching English where they take a year break or so or whatever. And that's kind of like it feeds and has an audience that becomes
Hmm.
content. That's why people watch it.
Hmm.
And then you have a bunch of people who've been living here for a long time and which have been growing in numbers who are just they're getting really tired of seeing the same content. I mean, you and me included.
Yeah.
We're tired of it because we know what it's like. Like I don't need to know what like let's say our friend Kevin like what he bought at the convenience store. I mean, okay, actually no, I take that back. We do need to know what we bought at the convenience store because he always has something funny to say.
Hmm.
Let's just say I don't know. It's something mundane.
Yeah.
Something mundane that like you could see anywhere else. I guess if it was my friend, it'd be different. But
Yeah.
like it's just some chick or
A
some girl
rando.
comes to
Yeah.
Japan, a rando.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get excited about what some rando does that I don't know. That's something I could easily do myself.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of boring. So that what it is you've had a lot of these creators. Some of them are kind of quote unquote the word that's become more and more used and more popular recently. It's like cringy.
Hmm.
You get a lot of these people who don't really know how to make content because they're not professionals, they're amateurs, and it's so bad. It's bad, you know, where like they don't have any makeup on or they don't have they're overweight or they're losing their teeth or they're going bald or like bad habits. Like a lot
Hmm.
of because what do they say? Like we always see the bad habits first before
Oh,
we actually see the good habits.
yes.
So so it's like if you're displaying yourself to the world, like these people we don't know, and you're showing people like your 5 teeth or how morbidly obese you are, people are going to comment on that, because as you probably know, the internet's not a nice place
No, it's
sometimes,
not. No, no.
especially if you know the anonymous hacker 4chan,
Mm.
and his from the band K-pop, if you get that reference.
Oh yeah, yeah. K-pop
Fox
stan.
News.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Uh, and so what it basically is like a bunch of friends. They just got together and they say, "Man, this content is so cringy. Let's just talk about it." And you know, and like let's talk about how much we can't stand it, and that sort of thing. And that's basically what the podcast is.
Yeah.
And I think like for the very first beginning, they made a couple of episodes where they didn't know what they were doing, because they started talking about a random amount of topics, like
Mm.
things like The Last of Us Part 2, because it was very controversial. I guess I think like they kill off the main character. Oh, sorry, spoilers. They kill off one of the main characters.
I haven't played either
Sorry.
game, so yeah.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm
But
sorry.
you know what? I probably, if I haven't played it by now, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, they kill off one of the main characters, and then you play as like a one of the bad guys. You play one of the nemesis.
Oh, that's cool.
Everybody hated it because like they said, oh, it's this female empowerment bullshit. It's this SJW bullshit, that sort of thing. And everybody, not everybody,
if
some
it
people,
fits the narrative, there's no problem with that, though. Like if it's shoehorned in, obviously, yeah, it's a problem. But if it actually makes sense in the story, then I don't see a problem with that, to be honest. But
right,
you know,
I mean, it was polarizing basically,
okay.
And so they kind of started off talking about that, and then now they've kind of built a brand to where I don't think they like this comparison, but I don't really care, because I always want to be the neutral party. But
yeah.
As I'm finding out, being neutral is pretty difficult.
Yeah, Switzerland.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, it's kind of like it's become this thing where it's now it's like tabloids. It's like tabloid podcasting, basically, because a lot of it is like gossip and misinformation, and it's funny. It's very funny, very, very funny, but so crass. Yeah, so I interviewed them. Yeah, wait, what's up?
No,
what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say there's not necessarily anything wrong with being crass. It's but tabloid, yeah. I mean, that's there comes a point where it's like the difference between being entertaining and just being like like just that's just too much, like National Enquirer or Weekly World News type stuff. Then again, Weekly World News is kind of entertaining just by how absurd it is, but this is more like National
Bat Boy lives again.
Yeah, or like Clinton's aliens and all that, so.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore. Now it's just like celebrity gossip shit.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah.
I think so. I mean, you remember this. I mean, like you go to Walmart or something and you go to the checkout counter and you see who's dating who. You're like,
they've always had that. Yeah, but
angry.
Weekly World News was always like the bizarre one. I always bought that one. It was like, oh,
yeah, that one was fun.
Bill Clinton meets space aliens. I'm like, see, I like absurd shit like that, but like J-Lo's.
Oh, I like that too.
Yeah, J-Lo, who Jennifer Aniston's dating or something, like, who gives a fuck? Like, that's their personal business. But some people love celebrity.
I'll tell you who gives a fuck. Women, the women who shop at the these supermarkets, they care.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's an audience for everything, so.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, like finding out, like, because sometimes I watch certain shows, like in Japan recently. I was watching the show yesterday. Like, the show is obviously for women who are over 30 and they're having a midlife crisis, or they're borderline midlife crisis. I find this interesting because I know who the demographic is.
You can spot it, can't you? Yeah.
Yeah, you can spot it, right? Like there's this scene where like there's this. It starts off. This is hilarious. There's this Japanese woman who's on the toilet, and she's reaching for toilet paper, like because there's no more toilet paper in like the side, and she's having this like huge dilemma of like, oh, I want to pick up the toilet paper that's above the shelf, but I don't want all of the toilet paper to like fall all over the place. I just want to get one. And it's like this huge scene of just her doing this. And I'm like, if this was a man, I'm like, okay, it'd be funny, like Dumb and Dumber type shit, right? Yeah, but this is a woman, some 30-year-old woman, and her husband's like a complete asshole, and like her kids are like having trouble in school or something. And I'm
sounds like something that'd be on Lifetime,
Yeah, and then I forgot.
Network,
and then somebody's Yeah, and then somebody's dying or something in the show. I forgot who was, or no, somebody died and they're grieving over their death. And I'm like, I can tell who this exactly is made for.
Mm,
It's the
mm,
same thing with the tabloids that you see
yeah,
in the supermarket. This is for people who want to see, celebrity lifestyles, who are, they're out of their grasp. They can't really,
yeah,
access these life. They'd love to have that life. They'd love to be banging Russell Crowe, or maybe not now, probably back then. But
yeah, yeah.
uh, you should see that
Sign
movie.
of the times we grew up in is,
Yeah, exactly.
we start naming these peoples. But so
Yeah, right.
King of Kanto. So you said how they become sort of tabloidish and like crass, like, but can you give an example like of how what you're describing in a way?
Yeah, it's well, I'd have to think about it, but
It's not
the thing
spoilers
is,
if
is
they've, yeah.
well, because I mean, obviously, they kind of start off with like talking about like the way people look,
Okay,
and it's
okay.
just like, like for example, one of the guests I wanted to have on my show, Oriental Pearl,
Mm-hmm.
who does like prank videos of
Yep.
like, guess what? I can speak Chinese, bitches. Well, she doesn't say that, but
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Like, I can speak
That would be funny.
Japanese. You didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yo, ho, yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Right. I
Mm.
wanted to have her on my show. And of course, I interviewed King of Kanto the week prior or two
Oh
weeks
man.
prior or something.
Yeah.
And she was not a fan of that episode because, like, they're saying things like Oriental plural. It sounds like a butt plug, like a big butt plug. She did
Damn.
not like that.
Damn,
Like, I
dude.
didn't be like, it's funny, but it's just sort of like, it's sort of like if you said this to somebody's face, I don't think they'd like it very much.
Yeah.
You know?
They're not going to make too many friends in that sphere if they're just constantly attacking people. But maybe
I
that's what,
mean, go on. Sorry.
or maybe that's what they're, maybe that's the shtick that they want. Maybe they want the
Oh no,
notoriety.
no,
You
it's
know.
totally it's totally a thing. It's just like like TMZ has an audience.
Mm-hmm.
All these tab Spa, Weekly Playboy,
Mm-hmm.
Friday, they have an audience. People watch it. They like that kind of shit. They eat it up.
So
So
so basically, you had them on, and then they were saying that, and then that's kind of how you think it kind of blew up in your face. So.
well, because I think at that time they didn't really know what kind of podcast they wanted to become.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're kind of like figuring out like what it is we're watching because we're getting tired of seeing the same thing over and over again of these J vloggers, and I totally get it, and um I think a lot of it the way it is that they put their show together is just a lot of people don't appreciate the way they're depicted on the show
I see.
because I think a lot of the time that because I was talking to Oriental Pearl privately, and she was saying things. No, 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 no. They got this wrong. They got that wrong. I can't think of exact great examples. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, examples off the top of my head, but she was saying like there's a lot of things that they got wrong. And what's interesting is I listened to the show. I mean, I've been an avid listener. I mean, I guess I still am, but I mean, sometimes it's a little too much gossip for me. It's a little
Okay.
too negative, but I still avidly listen. When it comes up in my feed, I always listen to it. But um, basically, every episode kind of begins with them, taking in sort of the first information they see.
I
Because
see.
one time they did one episode on Chris O'Connor, the guy who started Tokyo Creative. Are you familiar with that?
Um. Yeah, I've heard the name floating around, but
Yeah,
I,
Tokyo Creative. It was like imagine. I mean, no disrespect. Oh no, maybe 100% disrespect because he fucked up the company. So,
oh,
and
okay,
he never took the responsibility for it.
okay,
Because I mean, I talked to Chris Broad about this, and he says, you know what? I'm just fed up. I'm just going to say it right here in this podcast because I'm just going to get angry at Chris O'Connor. I should
damn,
clip that one. I should get some good views off that. It's
yeah,
like,
man.
holy shit, he's talking about it. Yeah, no, I
Mm,
never clipped it. Anyway, Chris O'Connor started Tokyo Creative, and basically he's like a trust fund kid who he has like a rich mom and a rich dad,
yeah,
and he kind of just loved the idea of YouTube. He loved the idea of like YouTube creators, and he wanted to start a uh, kind of like I guess a resource for like these big name YouTubers. So like that they, this is he was thinking. I'm guessing this was his thought process that, oh, if we have this many followers and this much of a following, we can turn this into money, right?
Mm.
But of course, as you of us both know, you and I, um, there's no money in YouTube. There's no money in any of this stuff. I
Mm.
mean, not right now anyway, or maybe there never will be. Who knows? But that's why he fucked off to Korea and he said, I'm done with this. Or I guess the company was falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
And so King of Kanto did a whole episode about this. They did what's his name? The guy Jay. He did research on it, and they were very, or at least the other two co-hosts, was it Nick and Cam? They were very unamused of all the research done, and they preferred the misinformation or like the soundbite information,
I see.
and kind of dunking on that. Of course, it's more fun. Sure,
Yeah.
it's more fun to like poke at misinformation and what is it? Information that's floating out there that may be true or kind of true.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there's some creators that don't appreciate it when you get things wrong about them.
Right. Oh, I mean, there's a difference between like shitting on someone for a legit reason or for, perceived reason on your end, but then actually choosing to present the wrong information about them is, that's that's kind of misleading, and that's a bit of a dick move, I think, no matter how bad they may be, because it's lying.
Yeah. I mean, and sometimes it's more fun to talk about the misinformation, more fun to talk about the lie, but
as long as it's acknowledged, I don't know, but
that's the thing, is how do you prove it's a lie or not?
Yeah, I mean, if it's like damaging someone's reputation, though, maybe that's kind of, don't they? I don't know about Japan, but I know there's laws against that sort of stuff, slander. But it hasn't reached that level. I'm assuming, right?
Well, I mean, in their defense, they do say on their show, every show, they say you're welcome to come on the show, and you're welcome to state your case about the truth, right? Good. But most of the time, I guess, what is it? TQ Sam did it once.
He went on the show?
They did one on TQ Sam. Yeah, and then there's a show. And then they recorded an episode with them. Then they put it behind a paywall. They put the entire episode.
Yeah.
I wonder what the ethics is behind that. But
well, I don't know. No, he presented his case. We had him on.
Yeah, but you have to pay for it just to hear what the truth is.
Yeah.
I mean, that was smart in terms of capitalism. Oh yeah, smart.
Yeah. So I had a different because I admit I've never listened to a single episode. I've just seen them kind of floating around, and I saw one of the thumbnails, they had like Tokyo Drew or something on there. I thought, oh, they chose him as their first guest, and apparently that's not what the show is about now. So I was
like, oh, Tokyo Drew.
It's like, why would I want to hear about what Tokyo Drew has to say? But
like, why Tokyo Drew thinks he's cringy.
Yeah. Is that who you're referring to? That. Yeah, was that who you're referring to with the teeth thing, by the way, or?
No, I wasn't referring to anybody. I was I was thinking of that Sunny D and Rum girl, but
got it. Okay, because
it's let me cover my ass, Shay.
Hey, I have not. You haven't said anything, so.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
So.
Yeah. Misdirection. I learned from the best.
Exactly.
Donald John Trump. He's a really good misdirection guy. What do you call him? Misdirector?
Yes.
Yeah, he was good at it. I learned a few things.
He was definitely entertaining, and you could definitely learn some stuff from him.
I could see why people liked him.
Oh, it's funny. He has a way of controlling, like appealing to people in a charismatic way without being a very charismatic person. You know what I mean?
Way to put it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he has to have some sort of charisma, but like visually and everything, like there's nothing. He's the anti-charisma. Like he's just a walking pustule of a human, but he's still able to gather this large, really dedicated audience.
Like, I love the way he talks. Like, if you listen to like one of his rallies from beginning to finish, have you ever done that?
I I would put it on in the background just to see if he would say
Okay.
something fucked up. Yeah. So
Okay. Well,
yeah.
because sometimes I love the way he transitions between like topics.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, he's talking first. He, like, for example, like if I was to imitate Trump, he's like, for example, like Weird Al Yankovic, nobody likes him. Never will make best album. Never do that. You know, never as good as Sam Jackson. Sam Jackson's the best. You know, he makes the best music. Even though he's an actor, he's really good. You
Yes. Yes. He
know, like
he did something about what was it? Talking about this this. Oh, it was like what one of the Navy commanders who lost his position because of the COVID situation on a Navy ship or something. And but anyway, Trump was
okay.
talking about it. He's like, he never should have lost his job. He was an excellent helicopter pilot, and I know many helicopter pilots. And like you start going on about helicopters and shit, and I'm like, what? This has nothing to do with this guy, you know? You
Yeah,
know?
no, it was entertaining. It was
Yeah.
very entertaining.
And
It's
you
like
just
watching PewDiePie or something.
yeah, yeah. That's I mean, it'll be hard to find a platform that'll take him, but that's what he should do, man. Is just go on, make his own media thing after this, you know, because
Yeah, he really
even
did at that time.
will hate people who hate him will still find a way to watch him. You know that's what you know. That's how you know how powerful this guy could be. Is not only does he have loyal followers, but he has haters that he lives in their head rent free. That's their whole life is to hate him, you know. And I'm like, I don't like the guy, but I'm like, you know, I don't. He doesn't control my life, you know. So,
It's definitely
but
entertaining. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
well, he is on The Apprentice. I mean, that didn't really change too much. So he knows how to do TV.
Mm, mm,
He realized that I'm not sure how much credit I can give to him, but I'm pretty sure that that's how he ran the entire presidency, as we saw,
yeah,
is that he ran it like it was a TV show.
yeah. I mean, he look how many people he hired and fired. He goes, I only hire the best people, and then he fires most of them, you know. So,
Yeah.
yeah. What's that
But
say about you,
anyway,
dude? You know, but I mean,
I, thi-
like
I think we've digressed. Anyway, continue.
yeah, we went from that
King of Kanto
get
to
to
Trump.
Trump.
But is there any? Sorry, is there any other things you want to say about Trump? I don't mind talking about it.
No, no, man. I mean, he's definitely an enigma. I think let's let it rest for a little bit with Trump because he's been front and center for like 5 years now, and maybe he needs to chill out for a bit, you know, stay
You
out of the
looking forward to
limelight.
the Biden gaffes?
There,
There's gonna
there's
be
already
big
so
ones. There's gonna be some real big ones. You
I don't
know, there's
understand.
going to be.
There already are. I don't understand how the me. It's not really memes. It's legit videos of him sniffing people and children, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Oh, he's just Biden." I'm like, no. If anyone else did that to your child, you would be fucking fuming. You know, like, don't
Right.
let this old man sniff my kid. That's gross. I don't care
Yeah.
what politics you have. It's fucking disgusting, man.
Well, it
So
seems like most politicians. I know this is generalization, but
yeah,
it seems like a lot of politicians like love think they can really do whatever they want.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
like you remember I was talking to TKO Sam about this the other day. Like you remember the George H.W. Bush thing, right? Like how he would grope women, like when they took
yeah.
pictures of them.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like we go, I'm David Copperfield.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
oh,
he
he's
said
such
that
a
shit,
silly old man.
right? He said that
Yeah.
shit. Yeah.
Like, wait, what?
Well,
It's
and you
okay.
know,
I'm an old man. I can do whatever I want.
and then they went hardcore after Clinton for having an affair in the White House. It's like, yeah, but that was a consensual thing. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there was cheating on his wife and everything, which is not good. But he didn't break any laws, I guess. You know, until he lied about it. So, but
Right.
he wouldn't have lied about it if why was that even an issue? Like, I don't like Bill Clinton, but
Yeah.
I think that was like the stupidest shit to go after him for. It's like, okay, you know, what president didn't have an affair? Probably, you know, he
What
just
I
got
like
caught.
about that,
Yeah,
what I like about that whole situation is that, you know, somebody could not keep that a secret.
Linda Tripp.
You'd think that, like, yeah, they could not keep it a secret.
Mm,
You know, it's sort of like you think about state secrets or U.S. secrets, like Area 51.
mm.
Like, okay, it's not real because if they can't keep a blowjob a secret, Area 51's not a secret.
That's very true. That's very true. It's like, Yeah. Or if you want to get into conspiracy territory, it's like
Oh, this is where the
gatekeeper.
podcast gets good.
Yeah, so the gatekeeper type shit. Like it's
Okay.
controlled leakage, if you will. Like it's a distraction. Like that's what a lot of people say about what Trump was really good at is anytime a legit um, issue came up with him that was really serious, like he would intentionally say something fucked up to draw the attention away from that and put it onto his gaff or whatever he did. Like
Hmm.
about there was a rumor, more than a rumor, but it was like um, Russia paid bounty hunters in Afghanistan to kill U.S. soldiers, and Trump knew about it or something, and to draw attention away from that, he um, he retweets something about these old country club boomers who were saying some Nazi slogan about in support of Trump, and he retweets it and leaves it up for 4 hours while he goes golfing, and then it's like, oh, I didn't know that they were just my supporters, and like it totally drew attention away from a serious issue. Like, oh, did he know about these bounty hunters killing U.S. troops and didn't do anything about it? Like he was good at deflecting attention
Yeah.
away from issues, even if it
I
meant
mean,
something
what,
negative against himself.
I wonder how many women he's cheated on. This is like the stuff you do to like, misdirect women to like show them that you're not cheating on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like
He
no, you don't know what I'm talking about. No, it's not that. It's not that at all.
Oh, so basically he was just gaslighting America the entire 4 years.
Yeah, no, he was good at it. I
That's not
mean,
what happened,
there was
everybody.
a small sum of people that would actually believe it.
Yeah.
You know,
His biggest thing is like a lot of people say, "Oh, Trump's racist and everything." I don't think Trump himself is racist, but he had a lot of followers who might fit into that category. But he would never fully denounce that sort of thing. He would always be like, "Do you denounce the Proud Boys or something?" Even though I don't think Proud Boys are racist, but he would say like, "Well, I would just say, stand back and stand by." Like he would pussyfoot around controversial statements and not outright deny it. And people would say, "Aha, he supports it," and he learned how to not fully denounce it, just to keep
hmm
them in his back pocket, so to speak.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
it was it. That I think that's why he kept them around.
yeah,
Just to like, let's say he fucks up somewhere in Kurdistan or something, and
yeah,
it's like, shit, what do I do? Ah, Proud Boys. Everybody
yeah,
hates them.
yeah. The poor boys, the po' boys,
Yeah.
as Biden called them, right? So apparently they were their leader was like a FBI informant as well. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
I didn't know
so
that.
like Whitey
The more you
Bulger,
know.
So
Hmm.
yeah, they're all full of rats, all of it, So
Right.
yeah, how do we get on to politics? Sorry.
Yeah, no, we digressed from King of Kanto into political territory.
Yeah, so
Um,
so
well, what is it? Political theater does very well on YouTube, so
it
you should
it does. It
SEO the
does.
hell out of it.
Yes. Yes. But so King of Kanto, so um sorry, maybe I misunderstood. You had Oriental Pearl on before you had them on, and then they talked shit
No, I
about
never
her,
had
or
Oriental Pearl on.
okay, I
She
got you.
canceled
Because of
and
them.
because of them, because she was
Got
worried
it.
about getting trolled. I think I understand now how she was worried about getting trolled,
Hmm.
because I think what it is that if I posted the video on YouTube, some people would write comments who were fans of Oriental Pearl, and then they would troll some of their followers, and
Right.
they would kind of troll some of Pearl's followers, and then make her lose trust in her quote unquote brand,
But
quote unquote.
YouTube drama always, as stupid as it is, it always ends up, bringing eyes to both parties, I think.
Oh yeah,
You know.
no, I mean that video I uploaded on, like, I did an oopsie with
Hmm.
having King of Kanto on. That video has done very well.
Right.
I didn't want to do it because I don't want to talk about petty drama shit. But at the same time, I think, well, I know not a lot of people like this. I mean, it's always good to talk about as much about this as possible.
Hmm.
I guess not everybody's going to listen to everything, but eventually people are going to like with this whole Donald Trump stuff, we're all going to eventually piece it together about what they did, especially if you
Yeah.
keep on repeating the same things and saying the same things over and over again. So they get kind of a better idea, of like who I am as a person, like my
Mm,
character and that sort of thing. They
mm,
don't just think, he's a King of Kanto crony.
right.
He only looks for he's looking for a chance to attack. He's got fangs. He's waiting for them to bleed. You know, it's
Yes.
not. I mean, what I'm trying to say here with that last episode was I make podcasts based upon others' creativity, like what
Yeah.
we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
It's all about, the process, like respecting the process. How do we get better?
Mm.
And it's not about critiquing, like what they do. Their brand is they critique other creators, and they really go hard on them.
So their shtick is to be haters, and they get attention for that, right?
Well, I mean, they don't like the term haters. They often talk about in the podcast. They chuckle at the idea of being called a hater. They're
Well,
just
then
they're
what
they
else
are
are they?
critiques. They
Oh,
are
sure.
auteurs, as they said in my
Okay.
interview.
So, like, thing with, I saw something on Twitter about like Bobby Judo's podcast. Like he and his host, co-host, I don't know the guy's name, but they were
Oh,
critiquing.
Ollie?
Yeah, they were critiquing something about like Atsugiri Jason or something, and a guest or someone got angry at them and said, you can't criticize someone more successful than you, and he's just like, what? Like punching
Oh,
up
you saw
is.
that?
Well, I saw the tweet related to it, but
Yeah.
I have no context about it because I haven't listened to it.
Yeah, that's
But
the
like,
worst thing about Twitter, man.
well, I mean, it's like there's a difference between hating someone more successful than you and like punching up in a way. Like, it's worse if you hate on someone who's less successful than you. I think, like someone who's successful shitting on people who aren't successful. Um,
Right.
I think that's worse. Like obviously Bobby Judo, and he's created his own thing, so it doesn't make sense for him to hate on someone like Atsugiri Jason because they're they got their own things going on, right? So maybe it's not so much hate; it's more just this is just someone giving his opinion about like I don't like this thing that he does. It doesn't mean he's a
Yeah.
hater. You know what I mean? So.
Hmm.
That
Right.
could be, but then again, I don't know either one, and I haven't listened to it. I just saw the tweet, and I thought, I don't know, maybe he's just giving an opinion on it.
Yeah.
So do you know the context behind it all, or
Oh, no. That was a response to my recent episode. It was
okay?
talking about
Hmm.
how it was just basically, and I don't know. The thing about that is, it's just the thing with King of Kanto recently
Mm,
is that it seems to be becoming more and more just argumentative gymnastics.
right.
Like it's becoming argument Olympics.
Well,
So
we'll
it's
have
just
some
sort of like
Olympics
I'm
this year.
tuning
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Mm,
No, we're just gonna have the Olympics on Zoom. We'll just do it that way. Much
yeah.
easier,
Mm.
safer, cleaner.
Breakout rooms for each team. Yeah.
Yeah, breakout rooms.
God damn. Yeah.
Yeah, literal breakout rooms.
Mm, mm,
Yeah, no, it starts to become argumentative gymnastics, and to some degree too, it. I get the impression. I'm not saying that they've been talking about this because I'm in one of their discords and I
right.
see like what they're talking about all the time, and because I'm not saying this as an informant. I'm not saying this because I want to like saying I know the truth. I know everything.
Mm,
Like I'm against King of Kanto. You heard it here, folks. No. I'm just, I'm curious about like what kind of content they're making and how they're presenting themselves to the
right.
world.
Mm,
And this is just what I'm seeing. Maybe what I'm seeing is bullshit. I don't know. Maybe. But it seems to be like they're kind of moving the moral goalposts because like they always say, well, we should always punch up. And so they're always doing like bigger creators.
mm,
And then they do like smaller creators nobody's really ever heard of. And I think that's kind of punching down.
yeah.
Like, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not somebody's dad or somebody's mom.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not gonna comment on that.
yeah. I mean, if you ask me, I'm all for any free speech. Let them say whatever they want to say. But at the same time, there is, consequences to things you say, and that should be part of it too. Like if they should be free to say whatever they want about punching up or punching down. But if you do more of one of those things is going to turn a lot of people off. And if that's the case, well, then so be it, you know. But I
Mm-hmm.
never even heard of these guys before I saw like some random suggestion on Instagrams, like King of Kanto, someone you may know is on Instagram. I'm like, who the fuck is this? Is this like? And then I checked it out, and I'm like, I've never heard of these guys before. And but
Mm-hmm.
they created a podcast apparently, and um, uh, my original thought it was just a bunch of guys sitting around drinking chew highs talking. Like I
That's
said, I've
it.
never.
Yeah, that's
Is
it.
it? Yeah, it's really what it is, right? So,
Yeah,
um,
that's it.
I thought, okay, cool. Like, and
Well,
I'm,
because
yeah, I support more podcasts based out of Japan. You know, like it's cool. I'm a fan of that. I wish there were more. Um, you know, and it's cool to see these different ones cropping up as well. So, um, it's just
well,
what
it
their
seems
goal
like
is.
the
Is yeah.
well, I seem like there's no real goal. They're just doing it as
Mm,
a hobby, as they said in my interview with them.
mm-hmm.
Um, I think the biggest thing is right now with the internet, the way it is that it's slowly becoming more and more like a metropolis. Like
Mm,
us going outside and like talking to random people. Like for example, we would not go to a store and just start automatically shouting the N word, right? We would not do that, you know.
no, no, that's true.
No, right? Exactly. I mean, like the sort of thing. Like, let's say you talk about how you really hate X or you really hate B or something, or you start, using expletives. Or like, okay, here's a better
Fuck.
example. Yeah, fuck, right? Um, especially if you're in the US, and there's like a bunch of children around, you probably shouldn't be saying the F word, And
Mm,
the thing about the internet too is you don't know who's watching or who's
yeah.
there. And right now with the internet, it seems like it's becoming one of these things where, how like whenever you're in McDonald's and there's one guy who he doesn't get his order and he just goes ape shit, or he just gets
Uh,
completely livid about not getting his fucking double fucking quarter pounder or
Pounder.
whatever.
Yeah. Gets all
Yeah,
Karen
his
on him
his
and
anus
everything.
pounder,
Hmm.
and he just, he takes out all of his aggression on um these minimum wage guys who work at McDonald's, who have they're just trying to give you a burger,
Yeah.
and like, why are you demeaning these people that, make a lot less than you? And it's sort of like one of these things. And then, they become livid and then it just makes a scene and
Yeah.
everybody looks at them and everybody like watches this guy just go to town and get angry
Mm.
um, at these people, McDonald's. And that's what it's kind of the internet's become,
Like Bagel
where,
Boss.
yeah, it's like Bagel Boss,
Yeah.
where everybody just says, hey, look at this weird guy who came into the Bagel Boss. And everybody loves it, because it's it's disruptive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the internet loves assholes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why
And
I think they have a great brand in terms of like growing it.
well, more power to them in that case. You know, like I'm never gonna hate on anyone who tries to make something you know that they want to make, and if they're successful at it, cool. You know, as long as they're not
Yeah.
doing something like illegally hurting someone, then I'm cool. So
Well, I
uh,
mean, the problem though, I mean, and the reason why I'm not, I'm trying to distance myself from them right now
hmm,
because I would, uh, I mean, I don't mind them. They seem fine. They seem like normal people. But the biggest thing is the reason why I'm trying to distance myself is that it's just the thing is like when you have the reputation of being an asshole,
yeah,
people are going to be an asshole to you back.
yeah,
So especially like when you're trying to grow a brand, you know, you're gonna either have assholes that like you, or you're gonna have assholes that stop your progression
hmm.
in a way.
Well, yeah,
And
you don't want that kind of, like, if you're looking to do what you want to do, and if having that stigma of them around you is affecting you, then no, you don't want to be associated with that too much. Like,
yeah,
um, it's cool that you had them on, because so I don't like this attitude people have of just because you talk to somebody, or have an interview with someone, doesn't mean necessarily that you support them. It's like you just want to understand who they are and what they're about, but that doesn't
yeah,
mean you're promoting what they're doing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So,
yeah. No, no, no.
mhm.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, like if what's his name? Like if Joe Rogan had a white supremacist on,
Mm,
um, like, cause I had a few people like, what is it? One of my former followers,
mm.
he was asking me, why do you adore King of Kanto? I'm like, I adore them. I'm
Just because
confused.
you talked to them, you said
I
hello, you
talk
know.
to them.
Yeah,
Yeah, why do I shouldn't treat them like they're normal human beings.
yeah.
Like we like I'm saying, as I said earlier, we need to start treating the internet like it's a metropolis.
Mm,
It's like if you see a guy with a knife, I mean maybe like you don't want to get stabbed, you talk to him like he's a normal human being. You
exactly.
don't
Yeah.
talk to him like, this guy has a knife, he's gonna want to come after you with the fucking knife, And if you
But
value your life, you're not gonna, provoke him in any way.
yeah, you gotta suss out the situation too. Like if he's making
Yeah.
threatening moves towards you, yeah, you get the fuck out of there. But if he's just like, you know, brandishing the knife around you, yeah, you can. Hey, dude. Hey, what's up? Like you don't want to piss him off either. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
no,
Or
it's
at
like
least that's the way I was taught how to deal with the situation.
exactly. Well, it's like you said the thing about like Joe Rogan having someone on his show. Like he's had Alex Jones on there, and I so many people hate on Alex Jones, and I think they just get what they hear from like mainstream media that tries to portray him as something he's not. Like, yeah, he says some really fucked up outlandish things, but most of the things he's said have some kernel of truth to it.
Hmm.
And it's just him, it's like instead of like if you were to just have a normal conversation with somebody and you say something, you could have a discussion, and it's like turning on the water spigot normally. For him, it's just full blast from the moment he opens his mouth, and he doesn't know when to turn it off. And
Right.
that's how he is in real life too, apparently, from what I've heard. And the guy just goes off, and yeah, like the thing with I think what people really give him shit about is the Sandy Hook stuff because
Oh, right.
that
Yeah.
was kind of really fucked up, to be honest. But he's since backtracked on that. But other things, that doesn't mean other things he says are wrong. But my point is, Joe Rogan knows that about him, and he still gives him a platform when the rest of the internet said, "No, fuck you, you're out of here." And you
Right.
actually listen to him, and yeah, he's a bit crazy, but he's not wrong on a lot of things. So, or he's been proven right. So my point is, he I think anyone should be allowed to have a platform or say what they want to do. Like I was against the deplatforming of Parler and all this other stuff only because it doesn't mean I agree with them. I just think they should be free and out in the open to say what
Oh,
they say
right.
because it's easier to watch extremists if they're public than if you're hiding them underground somewhere.
Right. Well, I
Yeah.
think the thing was with the thing with Parlor though. Um, I think why they had to get rid of them was because Apple it didn't go in line with Apple's standards, quote unquote. I
Mm.
mean, this is the biggest thing. Like the thing with like you remember like the whole cake thing with the gay couple who wanted the
Yeah.
cake.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of it goes back to that where it's like can a business say they want to do whatever they want?
Yeah.
Isn't it's their own private business.
Right. Well, see,
So I mean, go on. Sorry,
well, I just want to say one caveat about the cake story. There's a lot of misinformation with that. Is they were never
I believe it.
refused. They were never refused a cake. They just
Okay,
didn't. But the owners of that were Christian, and they didn't want to put a certain message on one of the cakes. They said we can still sell you a cake. We just don't agree with this message, and we're
just
not going
want
to
that
write.
certain message. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Um,
Hmm.
and that gay couple is free to go somewhere else and get a cake from a business that will support them. That's how the free market works.
Right.
You don't agree with what this store does, don't give them your money. Let them lose out on money
Hmm.
because they're being idiots. Like that's how free markets work. Like let the market decide
Hmm.
whether they should be successful or not, right? And like that's why I'm also
Right.
in full support of like this movement of support black businesses. Yeah, of course, give them all your money, because I support free competition in the market. It doesn't matter what you are, like you should be able to give your money to who you wish and not give your money to people who you disagree with. That's just how real life works. And to try and
Right.
shut people down because they don't agree with you, I think is the wrong way of going about it. That's all. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Would you say? I mean, going back to the whole Parler thing. I mean, would you
Hmm.
say that people like the App Store, or maybe Google Play, or whatever that hosts the app Parler,
Hmm.
would you say they have too much of a monopoly, that they shouldn't be silenced, quote unquote?
Well,
I won't be silenced.
yeah. Just,
Sorry.
yeah. So, just so you know, something's clicking with your mic, Radrey. Like
Is
it's
it?
yeah. It's not too disruptive, but
How's it now?
no, I can still hear it. Like it
All
only
right, let
when you
me
only when you
dismantle it for a
talk.
minute.
Yeah, only when you talk.
All right, how's this?
No,
Still there?
it's yeah, a little bit. Could be the cord. You know, how
That's
sometimes
weird.
when the cord's rubbing against.
Maybe. Hold on. Hold on a second.
Hmm.
Let me switch it real quick. Sometimes that to restart it.
Yeah.
Check,
Maybe
check.
maybe it is that you said you've had it what, a year, and you bought it for $100. Maybe it's
Yeah,
finally
right.
proving its worth. So
How is it? How is it now?
it sounds a little bit
How
better.
is it now?
Yeah, it sounds
Still
better.
clicking? Okay. Yeah,
Um,
I
not as
I
much. Not
restarted it.
yeah, not as much. But yeah, yeah. It's not
It's like,
distracting.
what? Could you imitate the sound?
It's just kind of popping when you
Like,
speak. Yeah, like
oh, probably because I'm too close to it. I'm probably too close. That's probably why.
oh yeah, yeah. Like sit a little bit further back or move it further away from you and see how it
Yeah.
sounds.
Like, is that better? Is that better? Is that better?
Oh yeah, yeah. That sounds good. Okay, so
Okay. All right.
basically like no like something like Apple. Yeah, Apple's a a company, and they can set their own terms of their standards, and they say, oh well, you violated this standard, so we won't support you, we won't platform you. But at the same time, they could always change that. Like, well, we've updated our terms of service just
Yeah.
yesterday, and now it says this, right? So if you're constantly moving the goalpost, and something like Apple or Google, those are the only two games in town, right? So like if you're not on there, or Amazon, I guess, and then Amazon kicks you off too. So
Yeah. No,
yeah.
Amazon. I think that was the biggest blow to Parler, was the Amazon thing.
Mm. Yeah. But yeah,
I kind.
these big companies have a right to do that, but at the same time, you could say something like Twitter or something like, have they moved beyond the point of being a private company and now they're like a public forum in a way? It's like, would you?
Yeah, I really wonder what was happening with Jack Dorsey and that whole Donald Trump thing. That's pretty big to deplatform a president.
A sitting president
That's
at the
never
time,
been done
a
before.
sitting
I
president.
know, right?
Mm-hmm. So it's like I said, I if Trump had actually in writing incited a riot or said kill this person, I can clearly see that is a huge violation. But he didn't. He just said we will not be stopped. Like, it's like I said, he's always pussyfooting around the issue, and it's very vague. He didn't come out right and say attack the Capitol. If he did, yeah, fuck him, get him off the platform, because
Yeah.
that's dangerous. But he didn't, and
Right.
you could say he's responsible for it, but nothing he said actually, if you look at their terms of service, didn't actually violate their terms of service. They just moved the goalpost and said, oh yes, it did, or it's from previous violations and this was the last straw, sort of thing. So it was clearly a biased decision. And when you get the leader of the Shah of Iran, who's saying death to Israel publicly on, like Israel should be eliminated, and he's still allowed on Twitter, it really screams hypocrisy right there, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the biggest problem with all this, I think, I mean, maybe this makes me sound like a conspiracy theorist, but but everybody likes the big buts.
They cannot lie.
a lot of what we see on the internet, yeah, no, yeah, they really can't lie. A lot of what we see on the internet, we don't really have a lot of context of what's going on, of like, what's going on behind the curtain.
Mm.
Like, I'm sure that, like, with politicians, I'm sure there's tons of stuff they'll never tell us. I mean, luckily we had with Trump for a while that he would tell us all this information we didn't even really need to know.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, thanks for telling us, Trump.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Like,
like,
all
by the
right.
way, here's the nuclear code. I was about to flush it, but you can have it. All right, thanks.
Thanks, dude.
I didn't ask for this, but
Thanks,
yeah.
bro.
So, I mean, that's just, I feel like I think there's like probably there's something going on behind the scenes that they can't talk about.
Yeah.
That's probably why they have like that ethical thing. Or you're either 100% correct and it's all hypocrisy, and they don't really know what to do with it.
Yeah. Thing is, issues like that right now don't affect us, and that's why a lot of people who say, well, they made the right decision to ban Trump and they made the right decision to ban Parler. It's like, yeah, okay, but they're not going to stop there. They're going to keep going. And it doesn't, and just think, and just think the people that they're going after now, what if it was flipped around on the other end, which it could go that direction someday again. Do you want them having that same amount of power over you? Like, people don't understand that it's a pendulum that swings both ways, and eventually it's going to swing back the other way, and it's just going to be just as harsh. So it's you get what you ask for,
related.
I guess.
Yeah. I guess kind of related to what we're talking about. Have you been watching The Mandalorian?
I finished both seasons. Yeah.
You know what I think is what's great about that show, and I think the reason why everybody loves it? It's not for Baby Yoda.
Grogu was cute, though.
It's for, or not, excuse me, Grogu. It's not Baby Yoda.
He's still Grogu. Baby Yoda, I think. Yeah.
I think what's interesting about that show, especially the second season, I don't know how caught up you are, but this isn't really a spoiler, but basically the show's kind of becoming one of these things where it's like they have the resistance, and then they have the rebels. Oh, no, excuse me. They have the resistance and they have the empire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what the Mandalorian is doing, the main character, is he seems like the neutral party. He's like not really involved in any of it.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of like whatever. It's just like, I'm just here to do my job.
Doesn't bother me.
I feel like that's like how a lot of people feel right now. Because it's easy to be an extremist. It's easy to go off the deep end and still claim that you're a quote unquote neutral party.
Right.
And it's also easy to align yourself with an extreme party. But I feel like relatively in a metropolis, like normal place, like if I'm in a room with some rando, we're going to try to act like we're, socially, we're all neutral. Right?
Right.
So I feel like in this regard, this is probably why this show has been so successful. I mean, there's also like the Star Wars element. They did a pretty good job of like fitting in all the East and the West kind of concepts, and they made a very simple, easy to follow story. But I think with the kind of the political climate, like the social climate too, it's pretty fitting, because it seems like the most people I talk to, whether they're on the right side or the left side of politics, or wherever, or on the quote unquote spectrum. There's that word again.
Yeah.
Wherever spectrum they are, we all kind of want to have a mutual understanding of something.
Yeah, you're right.
I think the Mandalorian does a good job of that.
Yeah. He's definitely walks the way of the middle path. It's a very there's a lot of Eastern. You're right. Like, getting back to like the themes, like it has a lot of Eastern philosophy built into it, the sort of lone wolf and cub sort of wandering samurai thing, but also like a western, like the lone gunman and all that stuff. And they merged it really well with the Star Wars setting. And to your point, the appeal of it is, I think honestly that was the best show to capture the original trilogy feeling. that any Star Wars has.
Oh yeah, it's
That
best
is,
Star Wars thing
yeah,
since Return of the Jedi, in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah. And I liked the ending of the last episode. That was very as well as they could do it. That was cool. So
It's
we'll
pretty
see.
good closure, right? It
Yeah,
was good
yeah.
closure.
I'm interested to
I
see
mean,
where
it
it's
was a
going.
little uncanny valley.
Yeah, but at this point, you got to do with what technology you have. But I do like the spin-off that's coming too, because it's one of my favorite characters in the universe. So in the Star Wars universe, anyway. So
What's her name? The Jedi, right?
no, I was talking about Boba Fett. Spoilers for people who haven't seen it, but
Oh,
yeah,
that's right.
hmm
That's right. They are making a Boba Fett thing. They had a
yeah,
teaser at the end of the show.
Book of Boba
That's
Fett.
right.
Yeah. So anyway, but no, getting to your point, yeah, it's good. Like we can easily see ourselves as him in this caught in between these two warring factions, and yeah, he fights both of them actually. In the series, he's at odds with both of them. So, um, but he's just kind of doing his own thing, and he has his own thing going on, and he's just caught in the middle, and that kind of resonates with a lot of people too. Because most people, I would wager,
Yeah, I
just
mean
want
that's kind
to,
of how I feel.
yeah, they just want to live their lives and get what's theirs. Just live happy, productive lives, and then they got all this shit going on all around them. Like, do I have to pick a side? Do I have to, be one extreme or the other? Why can't I say, well, I like a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but what are you gonna do? So one dog's looking this
Yeah.
way, one
No,
dog's looking the
I
other way.
100% get
So
it.
yeah,
This guy's like, "What do you want from me?"
yeah, yeah,
Hey, Mom, can I borrow one of your knives? I'm just gonna borrow it for a little bit. Yeah.
yeah. Go home and get your fucking shine box.
I love that movie.
Oh,
You know what? That's actually, Goodfellas. It really reminds me of King of Kanto. I'm bringing it back around.
really?
You know,
Okay, yeah.
the reason why, because it reminds me of King of Kanto, where we're all kind of stuck in this place of Japan, and we all know that it's kind of destructive. We're all of our lives are kind of just, we're going to die at some point.
Hmm.
Because that's basically like we're on the pathway to like going into the tomb.
The Great
The womb
Abyss.
of the tomb,
Yeah.
quote unquote. And
Womb of the
it's just
tomb.
kind of
Okay, so.
it's dark, but they want to just make fun of it, like have fun while they're doing it, in kind of this dark comedy kind of way.
Yeah, I mean, Goodfellas is pretty dark comedy in many aspects, so that's good. Yeah. Well, with that, Radrey, appreciate having you back on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything you? Where can we find you on the interwebs, and anything you'd like to let us know about that's coming up in the 2021 of Radley?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube. You
Hmm.
can just search Why Come Japan or just Radrey on YouTube. You can find my Why Come Japan podcast. It's a podcast where I interview creatives about their craft and how it relates to Japan. I'm recently had a bar hopper / tour guide on the show. Look out for that episode. I'm also having a VTuber, if you know what that is, a virtual YouTuber.
Hmm.
So look forward to that episode. You can find the show on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcasts.
Cool.
Be sure to leave us. Not just for me, but sure to give Shea some stars. Throw some stars down for Shea. Give a review. Give us some feedback. We like hearing from you.
Yes. Yes.
Whether it's negative or positive. Or
Yeah,
I don't
bring
know,
it
maybe
on.
you hate the negative.
Hey,
All right.
free speech, man. Whatever you got to say. So
Okay.
cool.
All right.
Radrey, appreciate it, man. Let's talk soon. All right.
Yeah, anytime, man.
Yeah.